Yeah, that's right. Cold open Dan. We're going straight into this. Gonna be a blast. Got Xbox and Incredible Hulks. All the kids is welcome. And yeah, the debate is almost on. Bam's gonna be on in a moment. I'm just getting the stream set up stuff. But as far as debate expectations, I personally feel that this is going to be. Hey, Woke Dragon, good to see you. First, yes, you are, and thank you for being in. I'm happy to see you here. I am personally preparing for this to be a case study in absolutely genocidal rhetoric coming from these conservatives, because fealty to Israel is truly it's a requirement to be in the Republican Party. And so, yeah, it's going to be on full force here in just a moment. Let me get everything ready, steady, and going. I'll have the debate up in literally just a moment. That's kind of what I'm stalling for right now. But yeah, like I said, this is going to suck. But thank you for joining. It's not going to suck because we'll be watching it together. A little bit of group commiseration, let's say. But yeah, we are about to get this going. Oh, I love there's no chat. I'm watching this on YouTube. StreamYard's not having a good day for me. Actually, nothing is, but we'll get there. That. Oh, we're not gonna like.
Five Republicans battling to become their party's 2024 presidential nominee. The candidates ready to make their case on why they're prepared to be commander-in-chief amid two wars on the world stage, how they plan to tackle stubborn inflation, and how they can unite a deeply divided electorate. Who is best to take on President Biden? And can any of them first beat former President Trump, who's far ahead in the polls? The candidates are here. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy, former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, and South Carolina Senator Tim Scott.
From NBC News, the Republican presidential debate. Live from the Adrian Arst Center in Miami, Florida.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Republican presidential debate. I'm Lester Holt, anchor of NBC Nightly News.
Good evening. I'm Kristen Welker, moderator of NBC's Meet the Press.
Hello, I'm Hugh Hewitt, host of Salem Radio's The Hugh Hewitt Show.
We are now just 68 days from the Iowa caucuses when Republican primary voters will begin to determine their party's nominee for president. Tonight, we'll question 5 candidates seeking that nomination on how they're best prepared to be commander-in-chief. And, of course, how best to bring down prices impacting Americans across the country. We have 2 hours for a serious debate on the issues that matter most to Republican voters. Candidates will have 1 minute and 30 seconds for answers.
Sorry, I'm
and
getting
the opportunity for a closing statement.
Follow-ups will be at the
My
discretion of
computer's
all of us
mad
at the table,
lagging.
the moderators. Invoking a candidate's name or policy does not necessarily mean the mentioned candidate is entitled to a response. We want to caution all the candidates not to interrupt or speak over your fellow debaters. If you talk over each other, the voters can't hear you. And given the critical issues we're facing specifically on the world stage, we want everyone to hear every word you have to say. Continued interruptions may result in loss of additional questions. And to our audience, please hold your applause so that the candidates can be heard. With that said, let's have a good debate. All right, our first question, the opening question, is one for all of you. Donald Trump is the first ex-president in more than 100 years to run for the White House again.
Okay, so the first question
and he remains
is
popular among Republican primary voters
he's running,
as his legal challenges mount. Governor DeSantis, let
basically
me begin
it's like a
with
Trump
you
question.
on this one. Speak to Republican voters who are supporting Donald Trump. Why should you and not him be the Republican nominee to face Joe Biden a year from now?
This country is in trouble.
Can you hear me?
And the elites
Yes,
that
can
have
you
put
hear
us
me?
here, they don't care about you. They don't care that you're having to grapple with higher grocery prices or have higher gas prices. They don't
I was
care
on mute.
that your
Can you hear
family's
me now?
less secure because of the open border that's allowed drugs
Sweet.
and even terrorists to come into this country. Well, I care. I am not going to sit idly by and let this country continue its downward spiral. We need leadership, and we need it now. I'll take the hits, I'll take the arrows, I'll take the slings, because ultimately it's not about me. It's about you. I will fight for you. I will make sure
I'm
to
just
lead
my only
this country's
preparation for this,
revival,
like the only
and
way I
will
feel is like
win
this is about to
for you and
be
your family.
some of the most
Actions speak
genocidal
louder
things
than
we've
words.
heard from
We
American
don't have time
politicians
for
ever.
excuses, and it's not something that we're going to be able to have all these distractions.
But-
As a veteran, I will get the job done.
Yeah, like,
now, if
I'm
you look where we are now, it's a lot different than we were
fully
in
prepared for some
2016.
horrible shit
And
to be
Donald
said.
Trump's a lot different guy than he was in 2016. He owes it to you to be
Corn
on
pop
this
for
stage
Prez.
and
Bam is here. We
explain
can start the
why
debate.
he should get another chance. He should explain why he didn't have Mexico pay for the border wall. He should explain why he racked up so much debt. He should explain why he didn't drain the swamp. And he said Republicans were going to get tired of winning. Well, we saw last night, I'm sick of Republicans losing. In Florida, I showed how it's done. 1 year ago here, we want a historic victory, including a massive landslide right here in Miami-Dade County. That's
He's
how
just
we
so
have to do it.
whiny.
So I promise you this, as the nominee,
I was gonna say, where is this
November, I'll get
debate?
the job done, and as
It's
president, I
important.
will
Yeah.
deliver
Your time
for
is
you.
up. Let me turn to Ambassador Haley. Audience, let me turn to Ambassador Haley. Why you and not the former president?
Well, I think you look at the fact that we're almost $34 trillion in debt. 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. 50% of American families can't afford diapers. 1 in 6 American families can't pay their utility bills. You have
Oh no.
Okay, I was like, damn, is it me?
No, it's like me, which is strange because I'm like wired into the internet. Give me a sec to refresh this then. I just need to restart my computer from time to time. That's what's mainly going on. But
Maybe there was a
fact that he used to be right on
yeah,
Ukraine
you might wanna do that.
and foreign issues. Now he's getting weak in the knees and trying to be friendly again. I think that we've got to go back to the fact that we can't live in the past. We can't live in other headlines. We've got to start focusing on what's going to make America strong and proud. And that's what I'm focused on doing. Let's make sure we pay down our debt. I think we need an accountant in the White House. Let's make sure that we have transparency in the classroom. As a mom, I know what that means.
Big C's.
Let's make sure we secure our borders so that our families are safe. Let's get crime down because
good.
our families want to know that they can be safe no matter where
C's
they
elite.
go. And as the wife of a combat
Canada
veteran,
Dry, that's
I
how
will
it is.
tell you, a military needs to know we have our back, and we need to make sure that America
You
is
know where my allegiance is.
Let me just caution the audience. Let's not go down this road. We've asked you to please, keep restrain yourselves and would be helpful so we can hear the candidates because these are important issues and the voters want and need to hear them.
Ooh.
Mr. Ramaswamy, let me turn to you.
Saucy
Please
Santana
make your
over
case.
here.
Why should you be the nominee and not the former president?
I think there's something deeper going on in the Republican Party here, and I am upset about what happened last night. We've become a party of losers at the end of the day. It was a cancer to the Republican establishment. Let's speak the truth. I mean, since Ronna McDaniel took over as chairwoman of the RNC in 2017, we have lost 2018, 2020, 2022, no red wave that never came. We got trounced last night in 2023. And I think that we have to have accountability in our party. For that matter, Ron, if you want to come on stage tonight, you want to look the GOP voters in the eye and tell them you resign, I will yield my time to you. And frankly, look, the people there cheering for losing in the Republican Party. Think about who's moderating this debate. This should be Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk. We'd have 10 times the viewership, asking questions that GOP primary voters actually care about and bringing more people into our party. You think the Democrats, and we've got Kristen Welker here.
Well, I mean, at least Vivek gets it. That, like, they're all Republicans on the inside, but, like...
And so the fact of the matter is, I mean, Kristen, I'm going to use this time because this is actually about you in the media and the corrupt media establishment. Ask you, the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that you pushed on this network for years, was that real or was that Hillary Clinton made up disinformation? Answer the question. Go.
Mr. Roberts.
This is how we get our country back. We need accountability because this media rigged the 2016 election. They rigged the 2020 election with the Hunter Biden laptop story. And they're going to rig this election.
Your time is up.
Governor Christie, why
He decided to come in and hit
don't even
all
dignify
the
that with a
people
response.
on
you? Let's not
He
do
went-
this. Let's let the candidate speak. Governor Christie,
He
why
just,
you
like,
and not
tried to hit
He's
as
just
many
gonna full
buzzwords
QAnon.
as he could.
Well, Lester,
Like,
look,
that was
You said it.
crazy.
Joe Rogan,
At the beginning of the
Elon
debate.
Musk.
Tucker
We
Carlson.
are dealing with extraordinary
Hillary's emails.
important issues facing this country right now. We have our greatest ally in the Middle East under fire from a terrorist group that has committed to wiping them and every Jewish person in this world off the map. We have Ukraine with Vladimir Putin, a communist KGB dictator who wants to put the old band back together. He's starting in Ukraine, and he's
communist.
going
I
to
love
move
that.
to the Baltics and Poland after that. We have inflation in this country that is choking every American family that wants to try to rise up and give their children a better
That's why when
life.
leftists always point to
And
their ideal,
tonight,
social safety
we need
net,
to
their
decide
ideal
which
social
president's gonna be
welfare
the one to tackle
programs.
the big
They don't talk
issues.
about Finland or Sweden.
Who's
No,
gonna
we're
make
talking
this
about Russia.
country look
Really
once
calming it
again,
up there.
Not just inward, but look outward at the
2023,
world.
KGB still
and
getting
say
shout outs out
America
here. That's
is
crazy.
the country, the indispensable
Like-
nation that makes this a safer world. And in a safer world, American innovation, American hard work has always been the thing that has driven our country to greater things. I'm going to be the president who will do those big things. We're not going to be small. And I'll say this about Donald Trump. Anybody who's going to be spending the next year and a half of their life focusing on keeping themselves out of jail and courtrooms cannot lead this party or this country.
right,
and it needs
Governor.
to be said plainly.
Governor, thank you. Let me turn to Senator Scott. Senator Scott, you've said former President Trump can't win. Make your case to Republican voters.
Well, certainly. None
I
of
forgot
I
about
would say
him.
without any questions that the truth of my life destroys the lies of the radical left. We need a president and a candidate who will actually help our base solidify and attract independent voters into our party. The Great Opportunity Party is now winning back African American voters and Hispanic voters because we are working on a foundation based on faith. Our
Sorry,
nation
Tim Scott, you're not
is
going to win.
facing
You're
some
black.
deep
Next.
challenges.
Lies. Oh.
It is the loss of faith in this nation that is a part of the erosion that we're seeing
Tim
every
Scott's sleeper
single
pick.
day. It's restoring faith, restoring our Christian values that will help this nation once again become the city on the hill. When Ronald Reagan talked about the city on the hill, he was coming from Matthew 5.
I'm so tired
When
of
President
hearing
Lincoln
city
talked
on the
about
hill.
a house divided, that was Mark. Our founding documents speak to the importance of a faith foundation. You don't have to be a Christian for America to work for you, but America does not work without a faith-filled Judeo-Christian foundation. I would be the president that helps us restore faith in God, faith in each other, and faith in our future. Without that focus, none of the issues, the policies matter. We have to get back to being a nation that is, in fact, the city on the hill, that believes in each other enough for us to fight for that future.
Senator
Oh
Scott,
my
thank
God.
you. We're going to turn now to the challenges facing.
Take a shot every time he says city on the hill.
You'll all be fielding questions first from me.
I know there's
and
like
the
not supposed to be
Republican Jewish
clapping, but there's like
Coalition, then
no
from
interest
Kristen
in
and
clapping.
Hugh. So as we continue forward, the Israel-Hamas war is.
Yeah, everybody's just like, he just said a bunch of
Tonight,
words. I don't
Israeli
really
troops
know
are
if
fighting
I'm supposed to clap
inside
yet.
Gaza City with over 200 hostages who remain
There's a little bit of a
captive
lullaby.
there, and civilian casualties mount inside Gaza. As President of the United States, what would you be urging Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to do at this moment? Governor DeSantis.
Rev up those
I would be
fryers.
telling Bibi, finish the job once and for all with these butchers, Hamas. They're terrorists.
I told you, we're going to hear some of the
Massacring
most genocidal
innocent people. They
things
would
you've
wipe
ever
every
heard
Jew off
politicians
the globe
say.
if they could. He cannot live with that threat right by his country. That Hamas should release every hostage and they should unconditionally surrender. I'm sick of hearing the media. I'm sick of hearing other people blame Israel just for defending itself. We will stand with Israel in word and in deed, in public and in private. And I can tell you, as governor, I actually did something about it. Biden's neglect has been atrocious. We had Floridians that were over there after
What
the
did you
attack.
do in Florida?
He left them stranded. They couldn't get flights out.
Beat up
I
some
scrambled
Palestinians? What'd you do?
resources in
I wanna know.
Florida. I sent planes over to Israel, and I brought back over 700 people to safety. There could have been more hostages had we not acted. And I'll tell you,
I don't
this,
think
I
going
met
to
the
Florida is
first plane
safety.
load, when they came to Florida, and one of the mothers
Also,
pointed
like,
to a 6-year-old daughter,
getting
and she said, "My
700
daughter had been
people?
saying
Okay,
the last 2
interesting.
nights,
I'm playing.
Mommy,
I
I don't want to
gotta
hear any
get
more
that fact
bombs,
checked.
no more rockets. I just want to get back to Florida." So there's a difference between words and deeds. We acted, and
Israel
we
to help
saved
them out
lives.
first.
Thank you. Ambassador Haley.
Yeah,
what
I'm
would
like,
you
there's
do?
a lot
What
of
would you
ways
be
for the
urging
bombs and
Prime
rockets to
Minister
stop,
Benjamin Netanyahu
actually.
to do? Would you consider humanitarian pause, for example?
The first thing I said to him
I
when
don't
it
want my
happened
goddamn
was I
governor
said, "Finish
doing
them.
anything with
Finish them."
with global
And the reason is
issues.
I
You
worked on
focus
this
on Santa
every
Monica,
day
okay?
when I was at the United Nations. And we have to remember
You fix the
that
pothole
they
down the
have
street.
to,
I don't want no
one,
fucking
eliminate
planes
Hamas,
going to
2,
Israel, okay?
support
Gavin
Israel
Newsom
with
going to
whatever
Yemen?
they need whenever they need it. And 3, make sure we bring our
Yeah, no,
hostages
Gavin, so
home.
stay your ass
We need
in
to be very
fucking
clear on
Murrieta,
to know
okay?
There would be no Hamas without Iran. There would be no Hezbollah without Iran. There would not be the Houthis without Iran. And there wouldn't be
There would be
the
no
Iranian
Hamas
militias in
that, like,
Syria and Iraq that are trying to
right-wing government of
our
Israel.
I swear to
military
God,
men
this
and
is about to
women
be the most
if it hadn't been
racist
for Iran. And who
debate
is
of all
funding
time.
Iran right
I
now?
agree.
This shit is gonna
China
get
is
crazy.
buying oil from Iran. Russia
Ramaswamy
is
is
getting drones
gonna
and missiles from Iran, and there is
say
an
some
unholy
slur for
alliance.
Arabs. I
we
just
need
know
to
it.
be clear-eyed. The last thing we need to do is
You
to
know what's
tell
funny?
Israel what
Last
to
time they
do.
were all
The
beefing.
only
This
thing
time
we
they're
should
all
be doing
getting
is
along
supporting
because they're all
them and eliminating
get to
Hamas.
be a little
It is
racist.
not
They all get to be a
that
little
Israel
racist
needs
today.
America.
And have a
America
good time.
needs
So everybody's
Israel.
just kind of
They're
be
the
nice
tip
to
of
each
the
other because they
spear
get to be a
when it
little
comes to
racist.
this Islamic terrorism, and we need to make sure that we have their backs in that process.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Ramaswamy. Mr. Ramaswamy, any daylight between you and the candidates we just heard in this issue on what you would tell the Prime Minister?
Not in terms of what I would tell the Prime Minister, no. In fact, I would go one step further. The founding vision of Israel was based on the idea that they don't want to depend on anybody else's sympathy or direction in defending themselves. So what I would tell Bibi is that Israel has the right and the responsibility to defend itself. I would tell him to smoke those terrorists on his southern border, and then I'll tell him as President of the United States, I'll be smoking the terrorists on our southern border. That's his responsibility. This is our responsibility. That's how we move forward. But I want to be careful to avoid making the mistakes from the
So is he saying
establishment of the past.
not
You ain't
fun?
doing shit, homie. You're not even
Politicians in
gonna
both
make
parties
it.
spent trillions, killed millions, made billions for themselves in places like Iraq and
Is
Afghanistan,
this an anti?
fighting wars
Is
that
this a not
sent
paying a
thousands
take?
of our sons
Interesting.
and daughters, people my age, to die in wars that did not advance anyone's interests, adding $7 trillion to our national debt. And Joe Biden sold off our foreign policy. Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, got a $5 million bribe from Ukraine.
What is
That's
he
why we're
talking
sending
about?
$200 billion back to that same country. The fact of the matter is the Republican Party is not that much better. You have the likes of
That's
Nikki
not
Haley,
even
who
math.
stepped down from her time at the UN. Bankrupt or in debt was her family. Then she becomes a military contractor. She joins the board of Boeing and otherwise, and is now a multimillionaire. So I think that that's wrong when Republicans do it or Democrats do it. That's the choice we face. Do you want a leader from a different generation who's going to put this country first? Or do you want Dick Cheney in 3-inch heels?
All right, Mr.
In which case we've
Ramaswamy.
got 2 of them on stage
Mr.
tonight.
Ramaswamy, thank you. Senator,
That heels one
Bro,
was
what's
just for
this-
DeSantis.
to you about you're the president, you're on the phone in the Oval Office with the Prime Minister, you tell him what?
Well, number one, I would tell Prime Minister Netanyahu, not only do you have the responsibility and the right to wipe Hamas off of the map, we will support you. We will be there with you. We'll stand shoulder to shoulder. There will be no daylight. But I would change the station a little bit, though, and head back home to America. I would say to President Biden, diplomacy only is a weak strategy. Appeasement leads to war.
Yeah, it's your boy.
From President Obama to President Biden, Obama sent millions to Iran. Frankly, President Biden has sent billions to Iran. That is why I've said that
We're just fucking around with numbers today. We're having a good old time throwing numbers out there. Biden sent billions. Actually, he sent trillions to Iran.
He sent gazillions to Iran.
On military personnel in the Middle East,
$1 million.
If you want to make a difference, you can't.
Hunter Biden was stroking a cat. We're not talking about that.
Warehouses, you actually have to cut off the head of the snake, and the head of the snake is Iran and not simply their proxies. In order for us to have a powerful response from America, we have to be in a position of strength.
Sure, buddy.
As President of the United States,
we just gotta fight everybody.
You cannot negotiate with evil. You have to destroy it.
All right, Senator Scott, thank you. Governor Christie, I want to get you to weigh in here.
You have to keep in mind here that they're all saying Hamas, but there's no difference between Republicans or honestly most Democrats in the media between Hamas and Palestine, right? So when they're saying wipe them off of the map,
if you're Palestinian, you're literally just by association with the Hamas right now.
Yeah,
is to get Israel absolutely off the map. Now, there are three things I think I would say to him when he asked for advice. The first I would say is that it is absolutely your obligation to protect the territorial integrity of Israel.
Get out of here. You eat
Secondly, to
boring
make sure
food.
you protect the security and the safety of your people. Every time something happens to compromise either one of those things, it creates greater unrest in the entire region. Second, you must go in and make sure that Hamas can never do this again. The fact is that Israel and their intelligence community failed. They failed here, and they failed the people of the state of Israel. And so we need to work closely and better together to make sure, one, that they're degraded, and two, that we know everything that's going on inside the Gaza Strip when it's going on, so that something like this can't happen to kill 1,400
You're out of here, buddy.
individuals again.
Chris Christie's an anti-Semite
now. Keep your eye on the ball. Make sure that we continue to isolate Iran. Work with the reasonable nations in the Middle East, the other Arab nations who want to partner with you, and make sure that we continue to isolate
call
Iran.
him Chris
Their only friends in the world are the part of the evil force of China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea.
Governor Christie, thank you very much. And we're going to continue in this vein right now with a question from Matthew Brooks, the CEO of the Republican Jewish Coalition, a partner of the Republican National Committee in this debate. Here it is.
Given attacks by Iranian-backed proxy groups on U.S. military bases in Syria and Iraq,
let Rashida Tlaib ask a question.
that have wounded approximately 24 of our U.S. servicemen, do you support the use of military force by the United States against Iran?
Governor Haley, would you please answer that?
Jesus Christ.
Yes, I'd first like to say there's 5-inch heels, and I don't wear them unless you can run in them. The second thing that I will say is
Ramaswamy, clean the shit off your face, dude.
Statement there for ammunition. What we need to be doing for Iraq and Syria is, first of all, the idea that our men and women could be targeted and that we've allowed almost 100 hits to happen under Biden's watch.
When Trump launched that mother of all bombs, he injured Americans. Remember that?
What to do, and we shouldn't be doing the tit for tat like what Joe Biden has done. We need to go and take out their infrastructure that they are using to make those strikes with, so they can never do it again. Iran responds to strength. You punch them one and you punch them hard, and they will back off. But what we don't need is Biden falling all over himself to get back in the Iran deal. Him giving $6 billion to get 5 hostages hostages home. Him telling
They're like
Netanyahu
low
now that he
key
needs a
calling
pause
for
a ceasefire.
World War III.
We don't need him going and
on
sitting there
this-
tiptoeing around
on this
Iran
march.
because he thinks they're going to do
Like
something.
literally,
You
like
don't
let's strike
respond
Iran. They
to
only
an
respond with
enemy and a
force.
terrorist with
They're
fear. You
savages. Let's
respond
wipe
with
Palestine.
strength.
I mean
When
Hamas
you
off the
do
map.
that,
Like this is.
that's when the
I knew this
world
was gonna be
pays attention,
bad, but
and that's when Iran stops.
This is pretty ugly right now. I'm not gonna lie.
Continue with you. Just today, the U.S. launched another one of its limited airstrikes against targets in Syria, this time Iranian-linked facility. How far would you go militarily to hold Iran?
Ron didn't like that heels joke.
Well, first, Matt, thanks for your question, and I appreciate what you've done over the last month. I know it's been very difficult for the community,
Vivek,
and appreciate
also
you guys
Vivek,
rallying
fuck you.
together in
But,
difficult
let's
times.
continue.
I actually served in Iraq back in the day, and we had Al-Qaeda in Iraq. You had Shia militias that were funded by Iran that were killing hundreds and hundreds of U.S. troops. And as commander-in-chief, I am not going to put our troops in harm's way unless you're willing to defend them with everything you have. Biden has them out there. They're sitting ducks. He's doing glancing blows. That's just inviting more attacks from the Iranians. I would say you harm a hair on the head of an American service member, and you are going to have hell to pay. We
Literally,
are not just gonna
Donald.
sit there
I just said
and let
Donald
our
Trump
service members be
gave
sitting
someone like
ducks, and
brain
that's true whether
injuries
it's
on the
Iran
American
or whether
side
it's any
with the
country
Moab.
on the world. We have to be strong, and we have to defend the people who defend us.
All right, thank you, Governor. Now our second and final question from Matthew Brooks of the Republican Jewish Coalition. Please watch.
Yeah, like,
gave him two
yeah, what is he
questions?
talking about? Like,
Jewish
he's gonna
students
wipe the
across
goddamn
the
map?
country are threatened and under attack. What do you say to Jewish students on college campuses who feel unsafe given the
Vivek's gonna
dramatic
love
rise
this
in
one.
anti-Semitism?
He can say college campuses
And
and
what
woke.
do you say to university presidents and college presidents who have not met the moral clarity moment
America's
to
the safest
forcefully condemn
country.
Hamas terrorism?
Mr. Ramaswamy, would you like to take that one?
Absolutely. I think the scourge of anti-Semitism across this country, including at places like
All
my
of a sudden they
alma
care
maters and
about
places like
anti-Semitism. All
Brooklyn
of a
Bridge in
sudden
New
it's an
York,
issue now, right?
it's
Well,
sad
now-
to see.
now
but
we
here's
got an
what
issue
history
here.
teaches us. Anti-Semitism is a symptom of a deeper cancer in a country and a society that is lost, and we are lost.
For a former pharmaceutical
Several
guy, he
years
really
ago,
loves
when I wrote my
invoking
first
cancer.
book, Woke Inc., I was talking about they were chanting death
Called
to
it.
America. Death to white people, death to Christians. Nobody was waking up back then. Now it's even bad. Now they're saying death to Israel and worse. So it is wrong, but we have to get to the root cause here. Now, I think
Oh,
it's
so
really
we got to go to
important do this
Israel to
through
fix
leadership,
anti-Semitism. So
not
you're telling me right now we got to
censorship.
blow up
Leadership
Iran
means
to
fill
fix
that
this?
void with purpose and meaning. Dilute this
Everyone
wokeism
knows
and
when you
anti-Semitism
kill
to irrelevance.
innocent
These
civilians,
kids, they have no idea
you
what the
just-
heck they're
they
even talking
become
about
scared and they
when
never
they're
wanna be
siding with
terrorists.
Hamas over
That's what
Israel.
happens.
You know what it
They're
is?
fools.
I know the answer, Dan.
But I also want to
Critical race
caution here,
theory.
if we go the direction of Ron DeSantis or Nikki Haley, we
That'll fix anti-Semitism. They don't want to do it.
Pro-censorship, telling student groups to disband. Mark my words. Soon they will say if you question a vaccine and its side effects, you're a bioterrorist. Soon they will say that if you show up at a school board meeting, you're a domestic terrorist.
guy's
Soon if they
literally
say
just
that
reading
J6
QAnon
prisoners
posts and
should be
talking today.
released, you're an insurrectionist terrorist.
Yo, I
So
used to
that's where
think
this road ends. We
Ron
don't
DeSantis was
quash
way
this
too
with
online, but
censorship
holy
because
shit.
that creates a worse
He-
underbelly.
he
We
was like, I
quell
gotta
it
come
through
back and get
leadership
all the
by
free
calling it
comments
out.
today.
These university administrators have lost their way, and we need leadership at the top in the United States of America that restores our founding
you
values
did call
and
him
that
a
has
racial
no
slur
place
earlier.
for this kind of anti-Semitic hate. That's where
You
I
did call him
stand
a
while
racial slur.
respecting our
That's
Constitution.
why
No,
we
I
need
didn't.
critical race
Senator
theory.
Scott,
You did.
let me get you to
When?
weigh in.
People like
We
Dan
do
and
deserve-
Just today?
Let me just say to every
right now, I'm gonna explain the
single
group chat.
university
Can you clip
president
it?
in America, federal funding is a privilege, not a right. Number one. Number two, to every student who've come to our country
thought
on a
Republicans
visa
didn't like
to a
privilege.
college campus, your visa is a privilege, not a right. Number three.
Your time's ticking,
Any
Caesar.
campus that allows for anti-Semitism
Hey, Caesar, in that
and
garage,
hate, to allow
time's ticking.
students to encourage terrorism, mass murder, and genocide, you should lose your federal funding
Why is he
today.
threatening immigrants here? What's
Period.
going on?
To
Yeah,
all
he's,
the students
he's basically.
Why, what do we do?
who are encouraging Jewish
I got nothing to
genocide.
do with Israel, bro.
I would deport
if we just
you
take
from those
Republican
campuses.
policy
We have
for
to
what
stay
it is,
strong with our Jewish
Rick Scott's
Americans.
saying, like, he'd
At the end
deport
of
you
the
for
day,
BDS.
We should not have
Who'd deport
our
you for going to a
Jewish students
protest?
in a library being told to hide on our streets in New York as Jewish
Also, side note, sound is terrible with this debate.
On the streets of America,
like you can hear
no
an
fear.
echo.
They have the right to
almost
go to
before
college
it hits the
campuses,
TV.
go to class, and not fear. We will restore that. I started working on anti-Semitism on college campuses in 2017 because even then there was a rise of anti-Semitism on college campuses.
Why.
We must force the people off those campuses.
Wasn't it when Trump said, Zionists stand back and stand by?
Think about what he just said.
He was talking about the Zionists, right? Not the Proud Boys?
To say, if you are here on a student visa as a foreign national, you're making common cause with Hamas, I'm canceling your visa and I'm sending you home. No questions asked. Second,
What did I do?
I have friends here in Florida who their kids do not feel safe even going to university campus at all outside of the state of Florida. You have Jewish students fleeing for their lives at Cooper Union.
Gables, Miami?
Joe Biden should have the Department of Justice
university?
on these college campuses and holding the universities accountable for civil rights violations. When you should not have money going to these places. I already acted in Florida.
If you're
we had a
Jew
group
in
Students
Florida,
for
you
Justice
get
in
a firearm.
Palestine. They
Like, they just
said
give
they
one-
are
give you
common
that.
cause with Hamas. They said, we're not just in solidarity. This is what we are. We
Imagine moving
deactivated
to
them.
Florida
We're
and
not
not
going to
having a
use
firearm.
state
What a
tax
bozo.
dollars to fund jihad. No way. And what is Biden doing? Not only is he not helping the Jewish students who are being persecuted, he is launching an initiative to combat so-called Islamophobia. No, it's the anti-Semitism that's spiraling. That is what we have to confront. And as president,
You
I
guys
can
remember
tell
that
you this:
bullshit?
we are not going to stand for this on
Islamophobia?
college campuses any longer.
All right, Governor, thank you.
I remember, throwback to George W. Bush saying Islamophobia was bad.
Last month, as you know, a 6-year-old Palestinian-American boy was killed in
this country's
Illinois
so
by his
over.
landlord.
We're
His
so
mother
done.
was also stabbed more than a dozen times in what has been charged as a hate crime. What do you say to Muslim Americans who are also feeling afraid for their safety right now?
Lester, I'm the only one on the stage who's actually had experience in dealing with this. I was appointed by President Bush to be the U.S. Attorney in New Jersey on September 10th, 2001. And when I took over that job after the September 11th attacks, I had to deal with a situation in our state that was explosive. We're the most ethnically diverse state in this country. And so first, we heard credible reports about Jewish students and synagogues being threatened in our state in the aftermath of 9/11.
What?
We made sure that we sent federal agents to those synagogues and we protected them, and the same thing should be being done now. At the very same time, I personally went from mosque to mosque in New Jersey and met with the leaders of those mosques and with the members of the mosques. And I said to them, law enforcement is on your side to protect you, regardless of your religion, if you are going to comply with the law. And we developed fabulous relationships with Muslim Americans all across the state of New Jersey, and we stopped any hate crimes that were going on either against Jewish Americans in New Jersey.
Yes, we stopped all the hate crimes in New Jersey against Muslims.
I was the reason why hate crimes stopped in New Jersey. There's no more hate crimes.
Dan, you got to make that comment about somebody else other than Nikki Haley.
Between Hamas and Hezbollah and the Jewish people. The Jewish people stand for right
I don't like
and
those
justice,
odds.
and Hamas and Hezbollah stand for
Those are not good odds.
Thank you. Ambassador Haley, what do you say to Americans who are simply afraid right now in this current environment that we're talking about?
Not great look for Tim Scott
I think
either.
you look at the country, and the country is all out of sorts. I think, look at what these kids are dealing with on college campuses. What makes me so angry is not only do you have the kids barricaded in the library, they've said they were going to shoot up the kosher dining hall. You've got kids who are being set on fire because they have something related to Israel on their doors. No person should ever feel in danger like this. And this is what
Are we going to talk about Maine or no?
Our college presidents.
Maine didn't happen.
If the KKK were doing this,
every
college president would be up in arms. This is no different. You should treat it exactly the same. Anti-Semitism is just as awful as racism.
If it was black people, y'all would feel different.
Protected. And for everybody that's protesting on these college campuses in
is the
favor
front
of
runner
Hamas,
of this party.
let me remind you something.
They were
Hamas
doing it
said
for a
death
long
to
time,
Israel
and they're still
and
doing
death
it.
to
So you didn't
America.
fix
They
that
hate
either,
and would
idiot.
kill you too. And the idea that they're
KKK
talking
still
about
having meetings
genocide
in
for the
YMCAs
Jewish
in
people,
Indiana.
that's not the values values of America. That's
like college
not
campuses
us.
in the
We're
South
better than
basically
that.
are Klan
We don't
meetings.
need to celebrate terrorists. We don't
Like
need
in
to
Arkansas,
celebrate
for
genocide. We don't need to celebrate violence towards anybody. We need to
Don't
go
look at the
back
camera,
and
that's weird.
soul search in our country and remember what we are about. And we are about taking care of
Deporting
people,
black
not going
people.
and making them live in fear because some other terrorist activity says they want to destroy them.
Ambassador, thank you. Kristen.
Have any Jewish people been killed like that little kid?
Field, so you will all get a chance to respond. But
Yeah,
Senator Scott,
actually,
I'd like to start
that was
with
that dude in
you.
LA.
The United States has given Ukraine financial and military support since the war began.
Well,
more
the
than
cops are
600
anti-Semitic, so
days ago.
they won't
President
say for
Zelensky
sure.
told me on Sunday, if Russia isn't stopped now, quote, the price will be higher for the United States, and
What, are we still talking about
Americans
Russia?
would be forced to, quote, send your sons and daughters to defend NATO countries. Senator Scott, where do you stand on more funding for Ukraine?
I certainly have been very supportive of Ukraine. I believe that ultimately we should make sure that the President of the United States states what is America's national vital interest in Ukraine. It is actually in degrading the Russian military. We've been very effective using our resources and our weaponry and the incredibly high price of Ukrainian blood to achieve that objective. Every day we get closer to the degradation of the Russian military, and that's good news. But the American people are frustrated that they do not have a president who reminds us and tells us, where's the accountability? Where are those dollars? How are those dollars being spent? We need those answers for us to continue to see the support for Ukraine. And at the same time, I would say that a package that's been offered by the president for Ukraine and Israel, that's the wrong approach. We need to focus specifically on providing Israel with the $14 billion that they need so that we show the world that we are 100% undeniably standing shoulder to shoulder with Israel. And then as we turn away from that direct support for Israel, we should go to our southern border and close our southern border with the resources
I am a little bit amazed that this started with Russia and now we're at Israel and now we're at oh, you know, Hamas is trying to get in through Mexico, right?
If we're going to deal with the national security emergency,
I can't wait to hear how they prevented people crossing the border through southern borders while they were a Republican Congress member in Delaware. I want to hear that part.
Everyone knows Oaxaca.
Big border issues in Delaware.
Everyone knows Oaxaca is Spanish for Hamas.
Bottom line is we have to first have the level of accountability that allows the American people to understand where the resources have gone. Number one. Number two, after we have that responsibility taken care of and accountability, then we have an opportunity to look at the overall strategy that helps us to.
You'll notice how the fiscal conservatives are like, oh, the Pentagon spend money. Oh, well, I guess someone should look at that. Someone should look at that.
Safe from the Russian military is
While we bomb
absolutely
Iran.
essential. As you understand, Article 5 would require to support and to defend NATO, our troops on the ground. The fastest way for us to eliminate that possibility is for us to destroy, to the extent possible, the Russian military. By doing so, we actually achieve the objective of keeping our military home. And that's good news.
Thank you, Senator Scott. Mr. Ramaswamy, are you persuaded by President Zelensky's urgent new plea? Where do you stand on more funding?
I'm absolutely unpersuaded. And I'm actually enjoying watching the Ukraine hawks quietly, delicately tiptoe back from their position as this thing has unwound into a disaster. The first half of this race, I was the only person standing for it. Now they're actually quietly coming around to being more cautious, as they should. Level with the American people here. Ukraine is not a paragon of democracy. This is a country that has banned 11 opposition parties. It has consolidated all media into one state TV media arm. That's not democratic. It has threatened not to hold elections this year unless the U.S. forks over more money. That is not democratic. It has celebrated a Nazi in its ranks, the comedian in cargo pants, a man called Zelensky, doing it in their own ranks. That is not.
I'm sorry,
That's
this
the
called
craziest
Zelensky
thing.
a Nazi?
You won't hear it in the
He
mainstream
calls
either party or the
Zelensky
mainstream
a
media.
Jewish. I thought we were just talking about
regions of
anti-Semitism.
Ukraine
I thought we were just talking about
right now in
anti-Semitism.
Donbass,
You just
Luhansk,
called a
Donetsk.
Jewish dude a Nazi
These are
in cargo
Russian-speaking
pants.
regions that have not even been part of Ukraine since 2014, that other people probably couldn't name those provinces for you. Those are the hard facts. And so to frame this as some kind of battle between good versus evil, don't buy it. And I'd like the likes of the sharpest of the war hawks on Ukraine, Nikki Haley, to have some accountability and answer.
Dude.
Do you want
No,
to use
Putin's got
US
Trump on
taxpayer
lock,
money
dude.
to fund the banning
Until
of
Vivek goes and like
Christians?
he's in a room
They're using the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. They have
Vivek, the type of guy to send his own compromat to Putin,
supported by our dollars, and I think you owe it to the American people.
Okay, this is funny and everything, but I want to talk to the real
Ramaswamy, thank you. That's time.
At least to
Mr.
condemn
Ramaswamy,
their
thank
banning
you.
of Christians.
Mr. Ramaswamy, thank you.
I'm
Ramaswamy, thank you. We asked the questions. Ambassador Haley,
Well, she deserves to
what is
She's
your
brewing up the
take
racism right now.
on
Here
more
it comes.
funding for Ukraine?
I am telling you, Putin and President Xi are salivating at the thought that someone like that could become president. They would love to see
The fact of the matter is, she doesn't answer.
He knew she was about to get a crack.
Nimrod is at the grill, y'all.
The ambassador has the floor.
Thank you. The first thing I'll tell you is we all remember what that thug did when he invaded Ukraine. We all know that 500,000 people have
Putin's not
died
black,
because
though.
of Putin. And here is a freedom-loving, pro-American country that is fighting for its survival and its democracy. No, I don't think we should give them cash. I think we should give them the equipment and the ammunition to win. And I'll tell you, if Biden had done it when they first asked for it, this war would be over. But let's also remember this. When you
In
left
November of
Afghanistan in shambles and
2021,
left them
like,
with
what are
a
we
ton of
talking about?
weapons and money, it's not that we left, it's how we left. When you look at Ukraine, don't think for a second, now everybody wants to move away from Ukraine. They'll want to move away from Israel a year from now. America can never be so arrogant to think we don't need friends. After 9/11, we needed a lot of friends. Now is the time to get
we didn't.
partnerships. This unholy alliance
Albania.
between Russia, Ukraine, and China is real. There is a reason the Taiwanese want us to support the Ukrainians. It's because they know that China is coming after them next. There is a reason Ukrainians want us to support Israelis, because they know that if Iran wins,
Those are Nazis.
Russia
Oh,
wins.
wait.
We have to see the combination
She's
of
like,
the
Ambassador, thank you. Governor Christie, what is your take?
I was
And
slow,
how
my bad. I was in a
long
flow
should
state.
Americans be expected to help
Well,
fund
the
war
bar's in hell,
Ukraine?
Chris Christie.
Kirsten, let's remember the last time that we turned our back on a shooting war in Europe. It bought us just a couple of years. And then 500,000 Americans were killed in Europe to defeat Hitler. This is not a choice. This is the price we pay for being the leaders of the free world. And the fact is, this alliance is not just with Russia and China. Governor Haley knows this. Iran is in the middle of this as well, and so is North Korea. And they are all working to support Russia right now. And the reason they're doing it is because dictators work together. People who believe in democracy work together. We must stand with all of those that are standing.
Which is
up for
why I
democracy
endorsed
and
Donald
freedom
Trump
in
for
this world.
president.
And
That's
by
going to be
the way,
Chris
let's
Christie
remember this.
in like
In
not even 2 months.
1992, this country made a promise to Ukraine. We said if you return nuclear missiles that were part of the old Soviet Union to Russia and they invade you, we will protect you. An American promise that's 31 years old is no different than an American promise that's made tonight on this stage. We need to stand by it. And those of us who forget history are doomed
Well, yeah,
to
none of
repeat
those
it.
people are president, so
And the-
it's different.
And the absolute giving in to dictators, which is being suggested on this stage, just shows the immaturity of the approach.
Now Ron DeSantis has shit on his
Governor
face.
DeSantis, I'd like you to weigh in on
you.
this
You
idea.
niggas
Are
really
you
looking real
concerned
stupid
that this
today,
could
I'm not
become
gonna lie. You
a
look real
wider
dummy.
war if Putin is not stopped now?
Well, any suggestion by Zelensky or anyone else that we're going to eventually have U.S. troops there, I can tell the American people when I'm president, that will not happen. We are not going to send your sons and daughters to Ukraine. I am going to send troops to our southern
saw
border.
Iran.
If you look at the threats that we face, terrorists have come in through our southern border. I'm going to shut it down. I'm going to have
Here
the
we go.
military, and I'm going to deport the people who've
Mexicans
come,
catch the
particularly
strays
under
again. Here
Biden,
we
who've
go.
come from
Where are
the
they
Middle
gonna be?
East,
You
come from
can't
all these
deploy
places. Now,
troops
Biden wants
on
$105
American
billion.
You can't put troops to Mexico. Where are you going to put them?
60, most of that's Ukraine,
El
including
Paso?
some of it going
Allen?
to pay pensions for bureaucrats and salaries. That is a totally ridiculous use of American tax dollars. He says he has money for border to try to do, and the media repeat that. When you look at it, what most of the money is money to process more illegal aliens into this country. How is that solving the problem? That's making the problem worse. And what does he do for the Indo-Pacific? A pittance. That is the top threat that we face. We need to bring this war to an end. We need the Europeans to step up and do their fair share. And we need to get serious about the top threat that this country faces, which is the Chinese Communist Party.
The Lady Liberty and like accepting people was invoked earlier in this debate, and now Ron DeSantis is very naturally just like, fuck them, lock the borders.
War with China. And I remind the audience that it's important for our visitors at home to be able to hear you, and especially for the people in Beijing to hear you. Many Republicans believe that the Chinese Communist Party and General Secretary Xi is an existential threat to the United States. The flashpoint is Taiwan. For decades and decades, the American military, but primarily the United States Navy, has deterred an attack from China to the island state of Taiwan. But Ronald Reagan's Navy of 600 ships is gone. Now, the question to you is, and I'll start with you, Ambassador Haley, because you were in President Trump's cabinet. His goal was a 355-ship Navy. That's what he pushed for. He got to 300. It's now at 291. Is that big enough to deter and, if necessary, defeat an invasion of Taiwan?
China has the largest naval fleet in the world. They have 350 ships. They'll have 400 ships in 2 years. We won't even have 350 ships in 2 decades. China has built up their military. It's not just land, air, and sea. They're doing cyber. They're doing artificial intelligence. They're doing space. America needs to modernize our military. We need to do everything we can. The first thing is you go and you make sure you have the backs of Ukraine. That's why the Taiwanese want us to support Ukraine, because they know that sends the biggest message to China. The second thing is we go to China and we start being tough on them. No more sales of our American soil to China, and let's take back what they've already stolen. Then you go and to the universities. No more having millions of dollars go to our universities. Then we will go and end all formal trade relations with China until they stop murdering Americans from fentanyl, something Ron has yet to say that he's going to do. And then we modernize our military.
Wait, that messes the whole game up. Is fentanyl coming from the border or China?
With the focus of cyber, artificial intelligence,
you don't know your maps clearly.
When we make sure that we have the backs of our friends, whether it's in Israel, whether it's in Ukraine, and we should be arming Taiwan. Make sure they have the equipment they need. Make sure they have the training they need.
We already are, dude.
China fears more than knowing that America will have Taiwan's back. Let's make sure that we show it by making sure they have the equipment they need.
Governor DeSantis, my question is specifically about the Navy. It's at 291. It's going to go down perhaps as low as 280. Is it enough? And what would you build if you were going to build more?
Not enough. We have to have the ability to back up a strategy of denial of President Xi's ambitions. And if China is able to be the world's leading superpower, that will affect you and your family in ways that are going to be very bad. They will export authoritarianism all around the world as the cost of doing business. They will impose things like social credit scores and internet monitoring. So this is to this generation what the Soviet Union was to the post-World War II generation. I've already released a plan. We're going to get to 355 ships at the end of the first term, 385 ships at the end of the second term, but we're going to have a path to 600 ships over the next 20 years. I think the future of freedom is going to be determined in the Indo-Pacific. We have a strategy not with not just military,
this is one point. Corn Pop from the economy. Did you just say Chinese Navy is bigger than ours? It's a misnomer because they have more warships, but that's like saying China's beating us on horses. They have more horses than we do. We need to get more horses in our military. It's like, yo, we have nuclear submarines too, right?
Yeah, but in Florida.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, yeah, but even if we build more ships, isn't recruitment down like 33% this year too? So who's even going to be? Is this just going to be a ship by itself sitting in a dock?
That's where that's where Nikki's AI comes in. About the chat GPT to whip.
Powered self-driving ships, yay!
Where are we going?
There's not even anybody to steer a ship left. Everybody's leaving the military. All them broke
China from attacking Taiwan.
Well, two major problems with the question. Number one, we do not have currently a defense industrial bank to allow us to have the kind of production that.
Yes, we do. It's called our fucking taxes.
Frankly, if we are not prepared to fight and engage in 3 continents at the same time, think about where we are today. In the Middle East,
like, that's such a wild
of trying to
question.
back our strongest ally. In Eastern Europe, we're seeing our resources and our weaponry help degrade the Russian military. The Indo-Pacific, we have real challenges. The long-term threat. The long-term threat.
America needs to be able to fight 3 wars at once. Is basically what he's insinuating. It's literally what he's insinuating.
To fight 3 different continents at the exact same time. We are going to have to invest heavily in our military, but we're also going to have to invest.
Notice on the stage, that's not a criticism. Maybe Vivek will try to do something in there, but like, that's not a criticism of, wait, should we be fighting 3 wars literally on like, if we got BAM's map, it's on different corners of that map.
One of the things I do in my Made in America.
We ain't got enough ships to go off. We ain't got enough ships to go to the entire flat Earth for that.
By having high-tech
the issue isn't that we're fighting everybody, it's that how are we going to fight everybody?
So that we
it's that we don't have enough money to keep doing it.
Industrial revolution that will be necessary for us to achieve the goal of having a military that is ready to be lethal and come home safe.
Senator, Mr. Ramaswamy, I'm looking for specifics.
Wow, that was just one word.
Nobody's talking about
peace. When would they be in the water?
Everybody's just talking about how we fight harder than we can fight before and fight more and come back safe.
Program. For people who don't know about that, we're decommissioning ships in the South China Sea. The foundation of war is economics. Rebuild our defense industrial base at home. But here's the dirty little secret. Our actual defense industrial base depends on China for the supply chain, for the F-35 jets, for the ships that we're building. Think about this. Why are we stockpiling that if it isn't to actually be strong against our enemy, China? We depend on them for that, just like we depend on them for pharmaceuticals, just like we depend on them for semiconductors. So here's why we can't get tough with China. It's because we depend on them for our modern way of life, and we have to declare economic independence from our enemy. That's the Declaration of Independence that Thomas Jefferson, at the age of 33, would have signed. And today, if he were alive, that's the Declaration of Independence that
he's such a TikToker. Holy shit, dude.
I do have to recognize that Ron DeSantis was correct about
at the age of
33. Tough talk when she was ambassador to the UN, calling China our great friend.
Thomas Jefferson would be anti-China.
To be honest about it, there was a
probably
exemption
he was
in that
anti
bill that
most
allowed
people of color,
Chinese
but
nationals to buy land within a 20-mile radius of
pro-life.
a military base lobbied for by one of your donors. So I think we have to call a spade a spade. We need politicians who are independent
Vivek and I are even
of
now,
the forces that increase our dependence on China. My message to Xi Jinping is this. You are done buying land in this country. You will not donate to universities in this country. U.S. businesses won't expand into the Chinese market until you play by the same set of rules.
Ramaswamy,
you're kicked out of the WTO.
Good luck,
and you
dude.
actually have to have accountability.
This man is just like, we're just gonna have beef with everybody, and everybody's gonna respect us because I'm
you know who hates this? Elon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Elon's like literally Elon. Actually, a lot of Republican people are establishing gigafactories in China. Why would they want to sever those relationships?
Apple literally canceled Jon Stewart because it's like, oh yeah, you're the only reason our streaming service is worth a damn. But Apple is essentially a Chinese company, and we're not going to let you. It was literally over China.
Tesla built their biggest factory ever down there.
You know, my first observation, Hugh, is that nobody answers your question.
Dana White's gonna have MMA
my second
fighters.
observation is these three in the middle think they're the enemy. I know China is the enemy, and that's what we should be focused on. So let's be really clear. The nuclear submarines in this United States Navy is the greatest deterrent to Chinese aggression, and that is the first place I would go to increase American naval power. Our nuclear submarines are able to move stealthily, quietly, and effectively, and if we are going to deter
we're so fucked when China launches a nuke at Los Angeles.
Is to make
That's
sure
just going to be so fast, and our American shit's not going to take that down.
From the United States of America
in the video game? When is this going to happen? Why would they drop a nuke in LA? Like, what are we talking about here?
And so we,
I'm not saying like that would happen, but I'm saying if Chris Christie is president, another thing that's not going to happen. And he's like, the first thing we're going to do is send more nuclear submarines over to China, and that'll be our first deterrent. To me, that sounds like if China tries to invade Taiwan or something like that, we're going straight to nukes.
Don't worry, we got a lot of nukes. Don't you touch Taiwan.
That we send Putin home with his tail between his legs and make them understand that the same fate waits for them if they decide to move towards Taiwan with a more aggressive nuclear sub-program. We'll be able to make that threat real.
Thank you, Governor. We're going to take a brief pause now.
You guys are all talking tough, but when they get in there, they be dead quiet.
I fuck with Taiwan.
Yeah, I'm riding with Taiwan. My homie's Taiwanese. I rock with Taiwan.
That was excruciating.
Was it over? Is it over?
No, that's 30 minutes. It's a 30-minute break.
30 minute or 30 second?
It's a break every 30 minutes is what I'm trying to say. Or at least it was supposed to be, because it's 51 after the hour now. Like, so my prediction was that you would hear some of the most racist things you've ever heard from like a presidential debate that's been recorded, at least, because I'm sure the ones in the 1800s were going off. But like, this is also somehow the dumbest. Like, again, we got. Oh, the woke left has figured out this new thing called Islamophobia that we've never heard of before, that no Republican has ever taught. Literally George W. Bush's thing. And then Vivek Ramaswamy. Like, it's just, first of all, I walk back my earlier statements about Vivek Ramaswamy. I should have said that, but he is, maybe I shouldn't have said that.
We're not going to clip this part, Dan. It's too far in. We already got the good part.
Oh no, I'm just covering my bases for when I get canceled in like 2036. But like,
yeah,
homeboy. First of all, he said spade a spade, so I think we're even. Second of all, homeboy called noted Jew Volodymyr Zelensky. He called him a Nazi comedian in cargo pants.
I think Zelensky is the only Jewish head of state right now. I think.
Like, that's including Benjamin Netanyahu.
I forgot about him. He's an atheist.
Yeah. He's an atheist. No, literally, I'm like, no, Bibi's an atheist.
Isn't he from Pittsburgh? That doesn't count.
Mexico might elect a Jewish woman president in the next election. I think, other than Netanyahu, I think Zelensky's the only Jewish head of state right now.
So then there'll be two Nazis in cargo pants running states. But also, they spent 15 minutes before that talking about rampant anti-Semitism on college campuses across America. And
right.
Chris Christie apparently solved all these issues in all these New Jersey temples he visited on September 10th.
It's unfortunate that nobody called him out for that. Like, saying that they're calling him a Nazi. I mean, he was talking really fast. Maybe they didn't catch it.
Yeah.
But like,
because I think everybody just tunes him out. He just starts rambling.
Yeah, no, like that attempt where he was like, now I'm going to ask the debaters a question because I'm on NBC and I'd much rather Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, and Tucker Carlson
I'd rather have
me.
three bozos to ask me questions. What's going on
He's
here?
like, no, this is my podcast now. I'm going to ask you the question. How do you feel about Russiagate? And like, literally, the debaters were like, I'm not. They literally just moved on to asking the next person the question. I really think Ramaswamy is like,
taking some L's.
I mean, no. Ramaswamy is being treated like you said, C's. Listen, don't talk to him. He's just having a moment. Don't give him attention. Just keep walking on your day. Like, just keep going by.
Yeah. Sometimes you have that one homie that just be saying random stuff. You're like, okay. Anyway, so about that game,
I feel like that's how y'all are with me most of the time.
Like, you're talking about something, they're just like, is this stuffed crust pizza? Well,
yeah.
Unfortunately, we're back. I this is exhausting.
Wait, what city are we in? What city is this?
This is Miami. Miamiopolis.
Oh.
Miami.
I'm going to Miami.
And welcome back to tonight's NBC News Republican presidential
No, you're
debate.
fine.
Once again, here's Hugh Hewitt.
Thank you, Lester. We're going to stay on China, and we're going to talk specifically about TikTok. Last week, Congressman
again, bro.
Bipartisan Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party.
This guy doesn't even know what the hell TikTok looks like. Look at him.
He's on it on his phone, see?
Pro-Hamas propaganda onto TikTok accounts across the United States.
The only guys
Gallagher
using
called it shocking. He called the app predatory, controlled by America's preeminent adversary, one used to push propaganda.
They know Americans upload the content, right?
Spyware,
they've never been on Tumblr before. Stop it.
Governor Christie, do you agree with Chairman Gallagher?
They're acting like TikTok is like Sky News.
TikTok.
I agree 100% with Chairman Gallagher, and let me say this. TikTok is not only spyware. It is polluting the minds of American young people all throughout this country. And
do Facebook next.
Yeah, I can tell by the goddamn debate stage.
And
you're right.
With all of this
now, Facebook's got that covered with the olds.
Horrible stuff that their algorithms were pushing out.
Yeah, they do. The oldies now got off Meta. They're on TikTok now. Heavy
That's
duty.
horrifying.
Divide the United States of America.
Their user 114665 because they don't know how to make a profile
the
name.
Trump administration. He talked tough about TikTok. I heard him do it many times.
TikTok.
But when it came down to it, he did not ban them when he could have and should have. And now since then, we've had an additional nearly 6 years of this type of poison
doing a video of him doing the water
the
dance?
United States, even putting aside the spying.
He would do it if he thought it would get him more votes.
Theft of American personal data and information. So in my first week as president, we would ban TikTok.
And bring back MySpace.
Sell it. Let them go ahead and sell it. But I'll tell you another reason we would do it.
Make me water?
Facebook's not in China. X is not in China. They're not permitting a free flow of information to the Chinese people from our.
Well, we're going to
social
trade
media
X for
companies.
TikTok?
Yet
What the hell are we talking
just
about
open
here?
the door and let them do what they're doing. TikTok should be banned because they are poisoning American minds, and I would do it week one.
Thank you, Governor.
I mean, X is trying to be Weibo in China, right? Like, so first of all, they get rocked. Like you think Elon Musk has got the smoke for like the largest social media app like in the world?
They've been very effective at infiltrating different parts of our society. So my policy on China and the Chinese Communist Party is very simple. We win, they lose. And in order to do that, it's not just military, it's economic, and it's cultural. And as the dad of a 6'5" and a 3-year-old, I'm concerned about the data that they're getting from our young people and what they're doing to pollute the minds of our young people. These kids get
Corn Pop for Prez going, X is like half owned by Saudis, so it's good.
China's obviously the most
even before he bought it.
Literally.
Yeah. So we are going to do that, and we are going to make sure to protect the American people. It's a full spectrum approach to be able to fend China off.
Oh, Ron DeSantis is full spectrum, all right.
Yes, economic decoupling, but also their role in our culture. If we ignore that, we're not going to be able to win the fight.
Thank you, Governor. Ambassador Haley, speak to the parents out there. There are probably TikTok apps on half the phones in this auditorium.
No, I'm going to speak to the fact that 2 people hit me and you didn't let me respond. So let's first talk about the fact that they want to talk about the Chinese land from 10 years ago. Yes, I brought a fiberglass company 10 years ago to South Carolina. But Ron, you are the chair of your economic development agency that as of last week said Florida is the ideal place for Chinese businesses. Not only that, you have a company that is manufacturer of Chinese military planes. You have it. They are expanding 2 training sites at 2 of your airports now, one which is 12 miles away from a naval base. Then you have another company that's expanding, and they were just invaded by the Department of Homeland Security. So mine was 10 years ago. Yours was 6 months ago. What's your story?
And I abolished that agency that she's talking about.
No,
Enterprise Florida, we abolished it, and of course we banned China from buying land.
Ron DeSantis is about to be like, to the moon, Alice.
Them from purchasing land.
The website
we
last
up
week.
and
Thank you,
done the
Ambassador
right
Haley.
thing in Florida.
You got the collar pop. You think she came to play games?
We've talked about this. You campaign on TikTok. How do
You
you
got the
get
Mike
TikTok
Scott
banned
Nick roll.
if you use it?
This rocks. I can't
want
wait.
to laugh at why Nikki Haley didn't answer your question, which is about looking at families in the eye. In the last debate, she made fun of me for actually joining TikTok while her own daughter was actually using the app for a long time. So you might want to take care of your family first.
Leave my daughter.
Whoa, okay, we swinging.
The next generation of Americans are using it. And that's actually the point. You have her supporters propping her up. That's fine. Here's the truth.
No, you just brought his daughter.
Is actually to say that we're just going to ban one app. We got to go further. We have to ban any U.S. company actually transferring U.S. data to the Chinese. Here's a story most people don't know. Airbnb hands over U.S. user data to the CCP. Now, that's a U.S.-owned company. So this is the problem when you have Republicans that temporarily go the way the winds blow.
Elon Musk, I love him. He loves China.
His UN ambassador called them literally, her words, not mine, our great friend.
When you drive a Tesla, where do you think that info
of the
goes?
right policy. Get to the root cause. Even U.S. companies in Silicon Valley are regularly doing it. Cut the virtue signaling. The fact of the matter is Democrats are on TikTok today. The only person, one of the few people who is putting up content the way the actual algorithms work, speaking for pro-Israel views or others.
Ambassador Haley,
more Republicans will join it. But stop
Haley,
U.S.
you gotta
companies
swing
from
back.
turning
Don't let
over
this
data to Chinese
person
companies.
do that to you.
That's the real
moderators
answer,
like
not the virtue
Kristen
signal.
don't get to respond to personal attacks, but you do.
Thank you very much. You know, when he talks about me praising China, he doesn't know the fact that the reason China was praised was because I negotiated with China and Russia the largest set of sanctions against
Nikki Haley
North
has
Korea
that I'm
in a
gonna end his
generation.
career look in her eyes right now.
Literally the reason North
Yeah.
Korea stopped
She's
testing
seen the kill shot. This is
ballistic
Mortal
missiles.
Kombat.
So
She's
I
seen
said
the
China
she's seen
did
the
good
kill
on
shot.
their part.
Her daughter has a
That
black
was an
husband.
extension you
Great
could
friend
never
is
do.
what you said, Nikki.
Bam
Those are
check.
your words, not mine. And so just
When
own up to it.
you would never
You can
have been
change your
able to
mind.
get
That's
that
allowed.
negotiation
But don't
done.
lie to the people about
I
what
have
you've said or what you've
against
done in
This
South
China
guy's a
Carolina.
joke.
my
You have brought
entire
them to South
career at
Carolina.
the
Ron is
United
right about
Nations.
that.
Every day I fought China, and I did it
Look at the
by
actual
making sure
hard
no
facts.
one
You
could
brought
get
them to this
any
country.
agency heads in UN. I did it by making sure that we
Wasn't the
called them
railroads
out
that
on
brought
human
Chinese
rights.
people to
I
this
did it
country?
by making
No.
sure that we held them
was
accountable
you,
on
Nikki
everything
Haley.
that
Nimrata
they did.
Nikki Haley.
That's the reason we got
You
out of the
let
Human
the
Rights
Chinese
Council.
do
That's the
this.
reason we called them out.
And you did it while
I
you're
have- there's
working for
not
Trump.
a day I haven't
Nikki,
stopped
Senator
reading
Scott,
through.
It is your turn.
Policy experience with the
Mr.
millions
Your
of
daughter
men
won't follow me
afterwards.
back on
Everybody
TikTok.
else is hanging on to the rules here, Mr. Ramaswamy. Senator Scott.
Thank you. We should. I appreciate y'all clapping for me already. This is wonderful. Answer.
Hell up.
Without any question. What we should
That's Tim
do
Scott's
is
peak.
ban
Like literally,
TikTok,
it's
period.
his
That we
entire
saw under
political
former
career is
President
only going to
Trump.
get worse
He
from like
tried
those
to
5
ban
applause he
TikTok
got.
twice, but was
There's no
struck
goddamn
down
shame.
by our federal courts. If you cannot ban TikTok, you should eliminate the Chinese presence on the app. Period. We also should provide,
I
in
can
my
fix
parents'
it.
Bill
If
of
you put
Rights,
Chinese
we give
on the app, you
parents
don't
the
get to use it?
opportunity
How do you do
to
that?
give their kids permission
What do you do?
under 14 to be on those apps. I think it's incredibly important for us as Americans to take back control of the information, especially of our kids. Where does it go? We should know that. One of the ways that we get to know that is by having a parental consent. But if we can eliminate TikTok, that is a first step. But it's not just TikTok. China continues to spy on our kids, but they're also buying our farmlands. We talked about that several times there. We have to make sure that we use
All these
the
Chinese farmers
tools
in our
that
Kansas,
are in
bro.
our
It's a big
toolkit
problem.
to stop China from buying farmland near our bases. The third thing we have to do is make sure that they stop stealing our intellectual property. They're literally stealing our IP to compete against us. My administration, we stopped that day one, and we start making
doesn't
sure
know what the hell
that
IP
we create
means.
six-figure income for jobs made in America
you,
through
Senator.
my strategy.
Everyone
Stop
clapping for
stealing
Tim
IP.
Scott
What is he talking
fell
about?
asleep after that.
Talk about Venezuela,
This is so
where
fucking
millions
boring.
have fled
Give Nikki
political
Haley and just
economic
them two
turmoil.
alone. Do like a
Many
final
Venezuelan
showdown
immigrants
and
are
take
still
everybody else off.
here in
I want a 1v1.
Okay,
President Trump and President Biden
I know
have taken
Vivek's not
different
doing well
approaches
here
to
because like this is almost entirely a foreign policy debate,
Former
and so like
President Trump
Homeboy's
put
getting
economic
cooked
pressure
right
on
now.
Yeah, he's getting cooked. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about at all.
President Biden
He
temporarily
named the only 3
sanctions
countries he knows in the beginning, and it's Tucker Carlson, Elon
Governor
Musk.
DeSantis, do you see
Yeah.
the political
He,
situation
he
in
didn't. He's like,
Venezuela?
he's
as
like,
a
I've never
threat
been to an
the United
embassy, so I don't even know
States,
what we're
and
talking
would
about
your
right now.
approach be?
We should never rely on Venezuela for oil like Biden has had to go beg. I'm going to unleash
We do the
all
Saudis
of
for that.
America's energy
What the
potential.
fuck are
On
we-
day one, I'm taking all the Biden regulations. The
Yeah, no,
Green New
I'm
Deal,
like, there's
ripping it up and throwing it in the
if
trash.
any of these people get
We're gonna
elected,
lower
like
your gas
Venezuela's
prices.
not getting
We're
touched,
gonna create
unless it's the
jobs. We're gonna
CIA.
lower energy costs, but we're also going to be
CIA
more
already
energy
tried it, it didn't
independent
work.
and secure. We'll choose Midland over Moscow. We'll choose the Marcellus over the Mullahs, and we'll choose Bakken over Beijing. That is good for America's national security. Biden's Green New Deal, that's good for Venezuela, it's good for Russia, it's good for Iran, and it's good for China. So I would turn the screws on the Venezuelan regime. I think it's a corrupt, dictatorial regime.
fuck are you
and
gonna
we
do,
should
homie?
never
What you
go
gonna do?
hat in hand.
I mean, did you see
What you
Homeboy
gonna do?
Gitmo?
Just to be clear, would you
He
reimpose
can try it.
Yes, absolutely.
Ambassador
Okay.
Haley, what would your approach be?
You know, I stood on the Simon Bolivar Bridge and watched thousands of Venezuelans cross for hours in the hot sun,
watch?
holding their babies to get the one meal they might get that day, going from Venezuela to Colombia. They were fleeing socialism
watch?
and begging for freedom. We need to make sure that we do everything we can to sanction Maduro. We shouldn't be getting dirty oil, and Biden just gave
Dump truck
500,000
duty.
Venezuelans temporary
Said,
priority
I need
status,
Homeboy's
which is
makeup
just
artist
gonna
because that
have
skin
more
is
of them
glowing.
come.
Not gonna
But
lie.
on the energy side, it cracks me up that Ron continues to do this. He has opposed fracking. He's opposed drilling. Last time he said it wasn't true, and everybody found out that it was true. He opposed it before Florida voters even voted on it. He was praised by the Sierra Club, and you're trying
I
to
swear to
make
God,
up for it and
DeSantis
act
is a
like
walking meme. It's crazy.
No, DeSantis is literally that emoji of the dude just standing up straight.
That's the case, but don't
He's
keep
just
saying
so
you're something
awkward.
that you're not.
He's literally the little guy I
that.
send all the time in text.
Our whole energy plan, you can't get the shale without fracking. We are absolutely going to frack.
He had his hands on his hips last time, like he was about to line dance.
He was doing his queen shit.
Thank you very much.
Rizless Ron.
Thank you. Let's turn to one of the biggest issues for voters. That, of course, is the economy. This is a question that will go to all of you.
Thank God.
An Iowa voter
So you guys
recently
want to
told
spend money on
NBC
war.
News, how am I
How
going
do
to
we
make
fix
sure my
the
pantry
economy?
stocked without breaking the bank? You've all said the best way to deal with rising prices is to cut government spending. But that would take time to play out, and Americans are struggling right now. Senator Scott,
And they all want to
I'll
build
start
more
with you.
ships.
What would you do the moment you take office to help Americans manage the cost of living? So we're talking about short term here.
My mother was a single mother who raised me and my brother in a very challenging
And now you're a single, not even a parent.
situation. The first thing I can tell you is that when your gas prices are 40% higher right now than they were just a little over 2 years ago, that's not a problem for my mama. That was a crisis. The first thing I would do as President of the United States is I would sign the XL Keystone Pipeline and start seeing resources flow. Second thing I would do is make sure that there's certainty and predictability so that those folks who have the leases in our country would have the certainty and predictability to go ahead and become energy independent. We should focus not
I need
just
money.
on being energy independent. We should focus
It's
on being
it's okay.
energy dominant.
You're getting paid in
America is
energy
the home
independence.
to more
I can't give you a
energy
raise, but I can give you
resources
energy
than
independence.
Any other country on the planet.
I know your rent went
We
up,
can
but that's
reduce
okay.
the
You have
price
energy
of
independence.
energy. We can reduce the price
Tell your
of
landlord that the
food
Keystone
and
XL
the price
pipeline is back.
of electricity if we
You know,
focus
you have,
on my build
tap water
here,
that lights on
don't
fire.
borrow from China plan that is embedded the Made in America strategy creates 10 million new jobs in 3 different areas. One is innovation. Second is the high-tech manufacturing. And the third is the energy economy. We have an opportunity as Americans to actually export the surplus energy that we create in our nation and disconnect from China and from murderous dictators.
When they talk about like, made in America, America, whatever, like somebody should question them. Like, okay, so you want to rein in capitalism? Because capitalism allows you to do all that. So you want to rein it in?
You are really seeing, like, over the past couple of years, you know, this is even a little bit before Trump, a part of the Republican Party that's against globalization. So,
which is weird.
But it's rhetoric, though. It's rhetoric, though.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, the only person, like, they won't go as far as, like, oh, we're going to nationalize an industry. God, no. But they are talking about, like, using government intervention to say, oh, we can't export here anymore.
These
guys don't know what they're talking about. The minute they meet with an economic advisor, they're gonna be like, "That's really stupid, and we're gonna get broker if we do that." So no, we gotta go overseas. I'm sorry, Bucko.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but like the iPhone's gonna cost $10,000 if it starts getting made in Wisconsin.
Hey, there was 320 strikes. We're gonna go overseas. Sorry, I know.
Yo, like literally, SAG-AFTRA just apparently got their tentative deal. Yeah.
By having an energy economy, we start allowing
I'm
this
still in Lincoln
nation
Lawyer grand finale.
return.
Senator, thank you. Let me ask the same question to Governor DeSantis. Can you give us some, you ticked off a number of things a moment ago, but some specific examples of ways that would put people on a better economic footing right away?
So I started off working minimum wage jobs. I did $6 an hour as an electrician's assistant.
I love these Republicans trying to like outpour. They're trying to outpour themselves.
Because I believed in America, if you work hard and get the most out of your God-given ability,
you can get boots.
Get ahead. And what's happening now, many of you are working hard and you're falling further and further behind. I've met people in Iowa, New Hampshire, and all across the country who've talked about all the burdens that they're facing with the rising prices. And I've heard from multiple people the same story. when they go grocery shopping.
I'm sorry, I miss when Republicans would just say "get a job, hippies" to this answer. They'd just be like, "Work another job, just work another job." George Bush was thugging it. He was like, "Hey, yo, the most American thing I've ever seen in my life is a single mother working 3 jobs. That's America right there." I'm like dead serious. George Bush said that.
What's wrong with getting more jobs? Come on, you lazy Americans.
Executive orders, the regulations,
people are hiring.
Everything involving Bidenomics. I'm going to rip it up, and I'm going to throw it in the trash can on day one where it belongs.
Well, Dragon likes your follow-up question,
room, and I'm also going to rein in the Federal Reserve. They have helped create, with their reckless monetary policy,
they should have us 3
what
ask
we
questions.
have faced since the COVID-19 pandemic. They
one of us can be Joe Rogan, the other one can be Tucker Carlson.
Fed should focus on stable prices. They are not an economic central planner.
I'll give them
American
softball
people.
questions.
Caesar can be earring one.
Oh, he's been waiting to do that one.
In the short term.
Right, and as a CEO, the economic question is core to my vision and policy prescription for this country.
I do like how Vivek's like, okay, I'm a CEO. Y'all are broke. Next question.
The supply of energy that brings
$6 an hour. I never even seen that on my check before.
Drill,
broke
frack,
asses.
Burn coal, embrace nuclear. Increase the supply of labor in this country. Stop using our taxpayer money to pay people more.
Increase the supply of labor how? You either do that by having more babies, which is not going to help you in your administration, or immigration, which your party hates.
What the hell are we talking
making
about?
housing more expensive for ordinary Americans across this country. So that's the true answer. And I think it takes a CEO in the White House who actually understands this to get this done. Because Americans at home, they know the Bidenomics is a lie. Prices are going up, interest rates and mortgages to buy your home are going up, but wages have remained flat. That's the hard diagnosis.
That's literally a Republican
This
thing.
is about more than just our economy. I say this
Flat
as a member of
wages?
my generation. I'm 38 years old. I'm the youngest person ever to run for U.S. president as a Republican. The reason my generation has lost our sense of national pride in part is because people in my generation feel like the American dream isn't available to them. And part of the reason why is we burdened them with 4-year college degrees that did not serve their head start on the American dream. People will be more proud of a country if we're all making more money in that country. This is how we revive national pride and our identity, and it will take a CEO in the White House with zero-based budgeting, by the way, to take on the federal debt to get this job done.
Let me turn to Governor Christie on that.
Well, look, Lester, part of the entire premise of the question, and I agree with Tim on this, is
cameraman doing a better job than Ron DeSantis tonight.
Because it drives every one of those other prices. You know, now food gets to your grocery store, it gets trucked. And those truckers have to pay for fuel and for the higher fuel prices. And when you go ahead and you tell people, we are going to unleash every bit of American energy, every bit of its potential, what happens in the futures markets? The prices go down because those people who are believing that the Biden program will continue are the ones who are bidding this up. And let me tell you the other place that's bidding it up, in the Middle East. And so if you don't believe that making sure that Israel and that Israel situation that's going on right now resolved and
what the hell has it got to do with anything?
States and bring stability back, that will also not permit countries like Saudi Arabia and others to be able to jack their prices as well in what they say is in response to a crisis, when it's really what it's in response to is putting more money in their pockets. When they have an American president who knows that Israel must be defended not with humanitarian pauses and not with suggestions for ceasefire, but with letting them know we will supply them with everything they need, that will also bring stability to the market. Energy is the key to bringing
some
this
water.
down.
You sound like
it's
RFK
what
out
every
here.
American family needs when they turn on their lights, fill up their car, and go to the grocery store. And we need to do that first and foremost. That's the short-term answer.
Governor Christie, thank you.
I am impressed he was able to wind Israel into that, honestly.
The way they can, it's impressive.
By inflation right now. An Iowa State University study found that last year inflation cost rural households about an
I also love the idea of like Saudi Arabia. They can't control our oil, but they can control our tech companies.
who are suffering right now.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a product of rural America. I grew up in rural South Carolina. And I can tell you what we're seeing now in America is the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. We have to go and start beefing up the middle class. And the first thing I would do is I will eliminate the federal gas and diesel tax in this country. We'll cut taxes on the middle class. But we have to stop this spending binge that's happening by Republicans and Democrats in Congress.
Like the last bill, other than like these omnibus like cram everything in to fund the government bills was tax cuts for the rich. Like the biggest tax cuts for the rich in American history is what Republicans did last time. For the rich.
Yeah, but she's cooking now.
And I'll veto any spending bill that doesn't go back to pre-COVID levels.
I don't know what though, but she's cooking
And allow us to be safe. We also need to be
Hurry.
not energy independent, energy
Hey, dog.
dominant. We are blessed with resources.
She's from South Carolina.
But
That's
the
not
reason
her
no
home
one
food.
should give you a number, Hugh, on the amount of ships in the
That's
Navy
crazy.
is because in a few years, our interest expense is going to be more than our defense budget. So no one can give you that number realistically without first tackling what's happening to the
Yeah.
situation. It would be a
Whoa.
We have got
Can
to
they just
understand
start swinging?
this is
Can
a
we just get a
crisis.
fight?
It is a
No, I think they're like
security
they're
concern.
whispering.
If we don't deal with what's going to happen
They're
with
like
that
cracking
interest
jokes.
expense in a few years,
They did the live action camera right there. She was shaky as hell.
the strong dollar matters.
Ambassador, thank you very much. Kristen.
Americans could see
Vivek probably
failing.
said something and
Vivek
Tim Scott
easily.
laughed.
benefits
And then, like, that was probably
drastically cut
it.
in the next decade because the program is running out of money. Former President Trump has said, quote, under no circumstances should Republicans cut entitlements. Governor Christie, first to you. You have
can't we have
proposed
Trump
raising
here?
the retirement age
I
for
honestly
younger
don't think
Americans.
people have always been saying like, oh, these debates are like a race for who's going to be vice president. I don't think Trump's picking any of these bozos. I'll be real.
Absolutely not.
I think he literally hates every single fucking person here.
that are in their 30s and 40s.
No, he's no. Yeah.
I have a son who's in the
He's
audience
busy
tonight. He's
fighting
30 years old.
wars in court right
If
now.
can't
He has
adjust to
other
a few
issues
year
to deal with.
increase in Social Security retirement age,
Homie
over the next
facing
40
RICO
years,
cases
I can
like
bring
Young
problems
My
Thug.
man is facing some real charges right now and calling the judge an idiot. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing.
There are only three things. that
He's gonna
make
make his
determine
hottest
whether
lawyer
Social
vice
Security can be
president.
solvent or not. Retirement age, eligibility
Okay,
for the program in general, and taxes.
his lawyer has a
We
4090.
are
She's going to
already
win.
overtaxed in this
4090
country, and we
RTX.
should not raise those taxes. But on eligibility also, I don't know if out there tonight, and if you're watching Warren, I don't know if Warren Buffett is collecting Social Security, but if he is, shame on you. You shouldn't be taking the money. There are a lot of programs in this country that we all pay for that we don't get a direct benefit from. Food stamps is one of them. I've never, fortunately in my life, ever had me or my family on food stamps, but I'm glad it's there so that no one in this country goes to bed hungry at night if they have availability to that program. But I don't get a direct benefit. The fact is, on Social Security,
People are going home
remember why
hungry,
it was
so I don't know what you're talking
established.
about.
It was established as a safety net program to make sure that no one would grow old in this country in poverty. That's what we got to get back to. Rich people should not be collecting Social Security.
Governor, can you give me a
How does
specific
the Social
age?
Security thing
69,
work out? What's going on
70,
now?
what would the age be?
What
No,
you tell me
look,
what's
that's going
happening?
to be a power of
baby
negotiation with
boomers.
Congress, Kirsten. And hell, I'm not going to start negotiating until I get there.
All right, Ambassador Haley,
That shit's never happening.
on this because you said in June that you would be open to raising.
Yeah, buddy, sorry.
It's so easy to
retirement age. Have
promise
you
something that you
determined
know
what
is never
that
gonna
age
happen.
Would be specifically, and what other reforms
You can give
are
me an
looking
office. I'll
at?
fix
So
it.
first of all,
Don't
any
worry.
candidate that tells you that they're not going to take on entitlements is not being serious. Social Security will go bankrupt in 10 years. Medicare will go bankrupt in 8. Right now, you have Ron and Trump joining Biden and Pelosi saying they're not going to change or do any sort of entitlement reform. What we need to do is keep our promises. Those that have been promised should keep it. But for like my kids in their 20s, you go and you say, we're going to change the rules. You change the retirement age for them. Instead of cost of living increases, we should go to increases based on inflation. We should limit benefits on the wealthy. Bernie Marcus can tell you he hates getting that check. Limit the benefits on the wealthy and then expand Medicare Advantage.
Imagine being rich and like
Let's make sure we do
the
that.
biggest complaint you have in your
That's
life
how
is
we'll deal
receiving a
with
Social
entitlement
Security
reform,
check.
And that's how we'll start to pay down this debt.
And can you
Like,
give me a
my
specific
butler
age? Can you
interrupts my
determine the
golf
age?
game
Again,
every
you
time
have
to let me
work
know
with-
the mail
Chris,
is
what I can
coming.
tell you is it's going to be those in their 20s just coming into
And
the system.
they're all
and it should
afraid to
reflect
say cut Social Security or cut Medicare because Trump is like the famous one in the party right now. But
Entitlements and Social
they're
Security.
dancing
What, if
around
any, reforms are you looking at?
So this is really important right now. We're working within the last window I believe we will have to actually fix this problem while still leaving Social Security and Medicare benefits for current seniors intact. I'll tell you how. The other candidates assume, like Nikki, that it can't be done. And on her math, she's right about it. But her math assumes $7 trillion of our $33 trillion national debt going to fight wars like in places like Iraq and Afghanistan. Minus that, our national debt would be $26 trillion right now. Then you go to zero-based budgeting, which I've proposed as a CEO. It's how I've run businesses. It's how many CEOs run businesses. Don't use last year's budget as the baseline. Start with zero as the baseline and then ask what's actually necessary. 75% headcount reduction. Yes, that is
the government. Like
it's not a business, fucking idiot, dude. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you have 150 million people paying taxes. That's your money, dude. Like,
if you go to zero, he's gonna wake up on January 1st with like non-working toilets in the White House.
It's gonna be like crumbling and shit. They're gonna shoot him. They're like, dude, like, you're not paying me. I don't work for you.
That many bloodthirsty members of both parties have a hunger for.
Secret Service starts a union.
For how we're going to be able to do this, and that requires discipline. So we can't have the first conversation we were having sending foreign aid willy-nilly to countries whose national debt per capita is less than ours.
Thank you.
You need to get off the internet.
I think
Quit
this is our last
gooning.
window, and it'll take a CEO from the next generation to do it.
Thank you very much. Senator Scott, weigh in here. What are you looking at to keep Social Security sustainable?
The bottom line is a simple one. We have to grow our economy and cut our spending. Let me just say that my mama and every other mama or grandfather
why are we doing
receiving
this?
Social Security in the United States, I will
You like all of us. That's very existential.
The fact is that we're spending today about $1.1 trillion on Social Security, about $750 billion on Medicare, about $300 billion on Medicaid, about $400 billion on veterans benefits, $1.7 trillion on annual appropriations. If we're going to actually tame this tiger, the way you do it is not by picking on seniors who have paid into a program that deserve their money coming back out to them. The way you deal with it is, number one, you have to grow your economy. My plan, Made in America, creates 10 million new jobs, grows our economy at 5%. By doing so, you add trillions of dollars of economic activity and billions of dollars to your treasury. Number two, you have to cut taxes. When we cut taxes in 2017, I wrote the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Everybody said, well, guess what? Revenue will go down. Well, in 2018, after we wrote it in 2017, what happened? Revenue went up by 3%, and the next year, it went up by another 3%. So what we know is that the Laffer
Wonder how much revenue would have gone up if you didn't give rich tax cuts
and finally,
and
if we're going to
actually tax the
we have
rich?
to take our annual appropriations back to pre-2020, pre-COVID
Because they get that
spending, which would
most
save
likely
us
by
about
cutting
$500
services.
billion in the next budget window. By doing
Senator,
that, we deal with
thank
Social
you.
Security and our mandatory spending.
Thank you, Senator. Very quickly, would you raise the retirement age? Would you be open to raising the retirement age, or do you rule that out?
All you have to do is go to a farm in Iowa and watch the hard work.
I've never seen a dodge like this in my life.
Dude.
Yes, sir.
Give me a number. Farms in
Listen to this,
Iowa.
before you go on. Thank you. The fact of the matter is that
What,
the
bitch?
more physical your labor, a year or 2 or 3 more.
Local Long Beach resident, you need to go to a farm
You and I might have a
in
different
Iowa.
perspective, but for those farmers, they're working night and day.
Thank
Why?
you, Senator. I appreciate it.
Don't
Governor
ask me
DeSantis,
questions.
final
Just
question.
go to a
literally
farm
just
to
in
raising the
Iowa.
retirement age, and how would you
Look
keep
at the
Social
hard
Security
work you
sustainable?
bum.
Well, look, as governor of
While you're
Florida,
eating your
I know a
Chipotle.
few people on Social Security, and important. My grandmother lived till 91, and Social Security was her sole source of income, and that's true for a lot of seniors throughout this country. So what I'd say to seniors in
jobs.
America, promise made, promise kept. I understand what you're going through with
You
the
even
rising
feeling the line?
prices, and you need that Social Security check. So we'll make sure to get that done.
Like,
Promises made, promises kept.
Yeah, first of all, Steve, that's a great point. That is totally a Trump
What a
thing right
clout
there.
goblin.
Reduce inflation.
But
when you have higher
3 years
inflation,
ago,
the seniors get a cost of
Republicans are
living
like, sorry,
adjustment
Granny's
between
gonna have to
programs
die so the
spending
economy
more,
keeps running.
but it
Like, just
doesn't
fuck
cover
them. Like, yo,
the
like,
increase in the actual inflation rate.
when they
We
tell
also
you who
do
they
need to
are,
get
like,
to
just,
at least
like,
3% growth.
listen.
You're never going to be able to have issues be able to solve the budget without that. But I would note this: Congress for
That's how you know he's a
decades
little Trump-
took money from
Trump,
Social Security.
scam.
Social Security would have more tax revenue that it put out. They would take it and then they'd write an IOU to Social Security. Congress has a lot of dirty hands
Little
on
Dragon,
this.
4,037
I'm gonna
farms in Iowa.
Congress to stop
I'm
spending
in
so much
Iowa.
money. And you know, one thing we have to do, we talk about the retirement age. is
Iowa,
just
cool.
Well, have
something
you
that
Nobody's
taken a
last
look
4 or
at
5
them,
years.
Dragon? I don't feel like you looked
Expectancy
at
in
the
United States
farms.
is
You just gave me a
declining.
number.
Governor, yes
Go
or no?
look
Would you
at
raise
them.
it? Would you raise
The
retirement
crop
age?
circles
when
are the
life
retirement
expectancy's
age.
declining, I don't see how you could raise it the other direction. So it's one thing to peg it on life expectancy, but we have had a significant decline in life expectancy in this country, and that's just a fact.
Ron DeSantis knows about pegging.
Governor DeSantis, thank you. Thank you, candidates. And we will be right back after a quick break from Miami, Florida.
Please, to this end, please. Jesus Christ. When we come back, we're going to find a way to just persecute immigrants now.
I'm sure, yeah.
I mean, they already got that off in the beginning.
Yeah, they got that, yeah.
Like,
no, if I go to a farm in Iowa, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be seeing a lot of other people working on that farm too.
Literally.
And they might not be graduating from the University of Iowa. That's what I'm going to say.
No, literally. Like damn near 20 years ago, I was seeing billboards in Spanish at tobacco fields in North Carolina. I'm not even joking.
I honestly, I literally believe you. I wouldn't doubt that at all. There'll be some lawyer ad in Spanish over there probably.
We're forgetting earlier this year that Ron DeSantis was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna start checking for citizenship for truck drivers and farm workers who come into Florida." And then they all went on strike, and they were like, "Oh shit, that's our economy." And so Ron DeSantis,
that's all of our truck drivers, and
he was like, "Oh shit, oranges."
Yeah, they were like, you know what, we're gonna get rid of all these people, and then the farmers were like, wait, who's gonna work on a farm? We're actually gonna pause that program for now.
No. You see, we're gonna get rid of Social Security. So then, people who are in their 20s right now, when they get old, they become the farmer. This is the beginning of this debate was just like horrible in a hilarious way with like how much racism was going on. This debate is like fourth graders running for president. Like, these are just like some of the dumbest things.
Vivek is the worst too. He's like the fourth grader that got held back a little bit, and he's like still in there.
He's like a know-it-all. He's like I'm the only smart one here.
But that's the problem. He's a know-it-all, and that's why he's like so stupid, because he's not gonna listen. Like you're over here talking about Nikki Haley. I'm like, she actually has a career in this field. Like, you can't be flexing on what she did at her job. You don't know, you weren't in a UN when she was. You don't know what was going on.
I know I keep harping back to this because it's just like one of the most insane ways I've ever seen a debate open. But like, we're talking about Vivek Ramaswamy thinking he's smarter than he actually is, and he's referenced Elon Musk, Tucker Carlson, and Joe Rogan. Like, it's deeply, it's so,
that's how I knew
it's so subliminal.
I think that's his goal. Like, after this run, it's to like be one of those guys.
Like, you know what he reminds me of? He's like the Republican version of the guy we had before, the Democratic guy. Who was the one that was
Andrew Yang? Andrew Yang.
Yeah, he's like the Yang for like the Republicans. Like, oh, here I am, Dane hit buzzwords, and I'm gonna say these a little bit more radical Republican talking points, and I'm gonna talk about Elon Musk. But I want to just say the last point I want to make is that I think it's really funny that it stands true. The beginning of the debate, when it's all about them being racist, no one's throwing any barbs or jabs at each other. Everybody's getting along, getting real anti-Semitic, like, oh, we got to defend anti-Semitism in this country. And then Hamas is the worst. Everybody's on the same point. And then we start talking about world issues. Now we're all just going to start attacking each other. But when it comes to racism, we're all together, right, y'all? Mm-hmm.
That's 100% facts, Bam. I mean, that's 100% facts. The only thing I'm going to add to that is that if you had Democrats on the debate stage, the same thing would happen.
Oh yeah, no. Democrats would be like, yeah, we everything is, we agree. What happened? What happened is bad.
I wouldn't call them savages, but they do sleep in mud, right? Like, come on, let's be real.
I wouldn't say the same things the Republican Party's saying, but
I would do.
Hamas must pay. Hamas must pay is what they would be saying.
No, there'd be a Democratic candidate.
Also, free Talib, by the way. Damn.
I'm wondering, like, would there be someone to say something about Palestinian civilians? If there was anybody, it'd be Beto.
Honestly, literally thinking about it, Dan, he as percentage-wise, I would put my money on that more than anybody at this point. I'm sorry. Even my own favorite leaders are whack as fuck now. Sorry.
Bernie might do it.
No, he wouldn't. Sometimes
I don't think he would.
What can you do as commander-in-chief on the first day to stop fentanyl and the waterfall of it into this country?
Number one, we should close our southern.
Oh my God, the fentanyl. They're doing all the boring stuff, dude.
They spent like, I think even they were tired of the Venezuela question because like I don't even think everyone answered it.
They're like Venezuela.
Yeah, I feel like only two people talked about Venezuela.
I remember
we don't have those in our states.
I remember Ron DeSantis, and I like vaguely remember Nikki Haley, but I don't think Vivek Ramaswamy got a chance to embarrass himself on that one.
Yeah, when you start bringing up Thomas Jefferson as your talking point, you know it's over on the subject.
Dude,
Jesus
I forgot
Christ.
that happened. Oh my God.
We brought in a dude from the Stone Age.
Vivek Ramaswamy said that Thomas Jefferson would have signed the Declaration of Independence saying we're against China.
They didn't even have lighters back then. I don't care.
They're saying Thomas Jefferson would have signed the
They didn't even invent metal yet, and you're talking about Thomas Jefferson.
You gotta understand, the Declaration of Independence from England, for you history buffs out there.
Back when England was an international power instead of just barely an island, this is what happened.
Yo, I mean, I guess that's true because at that point, England probably owned half of China. So, like,
yeah,
at least Hong Kong was popping up,
and India too, I think, right?
Oh, well, yes, but you're about to get me in trouble. Let's see if Tim Scott has said anything consequential yet. I guarantee no. What? What?
He's talking about fentanyl, dude. Like, no one gives a
I don't want to hear Tim Scott talk about fentanyl. God help me.
Like, people are doing fent on purpose. Like, they're literally doing fent on purpose.
They're doing fentanyl in spite. They're doing spite fentanyl.
They're literally like, I'm gonna get high off fent. Like,
yeah, because you hate it, I'm gonna start sniffing the shit out of this fentanyl.
As you suggest at ports of entry, we have to beef up what our law enforcement has in terms of technology. I would invest.
I'm sorry. I love that because this is the same like law enforcement people who think like touching fentanyl kills you. Yeah, I think the most recent
like it's
story,
like uranium.
I think like what the most recent story about this was like, I think there was like 3 cops in LA who like the official report that they communicated to the local news was like, oh, these 3 cops were dealing with fentanyl and it got really serious and all 3 of them OD'd. Medical report comes out. Yeah, all 3 of them OD'd, but they did not touch fentanyl. They consumed it.
Yeah, they didn't walk in and touch it. They were literally inhaling that shit and swallowing it whole.
Like there's people out here doing that are like pill poppers who are like
there was a cop who was like selling fentanyl or something like that in like one of these recent reports.
Yeah, there's a cop in San Jose.
Yeah, or something like that. The lady or whatever.
Yeah, but there's literally people that are like, I'm gonna put a little fent in this shit. Like, yeah, it's literally like not. I don't say like a party drug to some extent. You know what I mean?
Like there's a lot of reasons.
It's an adult party drug.
Adult
version.
That's emphasis in drug, but like, there's a lot of reasons I don't go to raves in LA anymore. But like, that's definitely one of them.
Well, you can go to raves without consuming drugs. You know that, right?
No.
See, you understand what Bam's saying? Like, he just started.
Bam has, when he stopped eating meat, he lost that part of his brain where you could go to a rave without drugs. I don't,
Obviously, the pain of losing a child is as bad as it gets. But he said what was salt in the wounds is that these elites in D.C. don't give a damn about what's going on in this country. They don't care.
Okay, I think I anecdote Ron DeSantis where he's like, well, I have a story about someone that's going to make me seem more human.
Ron DeSantis telling me about elites is all I needed in this world.
Seriously, dude. Like these guys heard Tucker Carlson say that every night and were just like, ooh, that's what I got to say. It's like, when's the last time you drove a car?
They talk about elites as if their entire fake friend group isn't elites. Like, what are you talking about? Who would be beyond them? What's beyond those people that are in your party?
When's the last time you squeegeed your windshield?
yeah, dude. Has he ever gone to a car wash where you have to take out the high pressure spray and hold that joint and your hand start hurting? Has hand ever hurt from holding the spray?
Dude, that's
How can I say this delicately? Ron DeSantis has like pillow hands. Like shit's like Tempur-Pedic. Like dude's never worked a day in his life. Also, corn pop for president.
He's like, the last time these hands worked, I was choking a Arab child in Cuba.
Yeah.
Corn Pop for Prez says, I think the Republicans have no issue as wrong as fentanyl. Like, they have no idea what caused it, what would actually help, just vile. I mean, like, I was going to make the joke earlier. There was a couple opportunities I had, but I was like, I'm surprised one of these Republicans are like, you know what, back in the day, Ronald Reagan, we used to be a country where the government would output the drugs, and now we've outsourced it to drug dealers. We sent those jobs overseas. We're gonna bring those jobs back, and we're gonna bring.
We're gonna start. Remember what we did? Who watched that Denzel movie? We gotta start selling the drugs ourselves.
But you know,
put the crack back in the streets.
It's really funny because the way that even like with the opioid crisis, and now with like fentanyl, they don't really like these types don't really look at it as like a drug user problem.
No.
Like. They won't say like, oh, people should say no to drugs like they did with the crack epidemic. They're acting like if you just like walk down the street, you'll fall in a fentanyl pill. People are consuming drugs. Like, and I'm not judging. Do your thing, but like the drugs are being laced with the drugs are being laced with like fentanyl or whatever. But they don't want to talk. But because it's like white people be dying from that shit, they don't want to say like, well, people should stop doing drugs. Because if you talk about should weed be legal, they'll be like, oh, no, that's a gateway. But it's like, well, then talk about the people doing fent that they should stop doing drugs. But they won't do that.
Think it really does. They do feel like it's a slippery slope diving into the fentanyl issue. So they just kind of like make it like some broad term. And then a lot of people are probably just like, I don't even know what the hell they're talking about. So
wait, hold on.
Yeah, get rid of the fentanyl.
Poisoning. If you put that fentanyl in a Big Mac, we would not call that an overdose.
Oh, wait, there's a debate.
You'd call it what it is.
No, I thought Ron DeSantis was getting smoked from Vivek.
Uniquely relates
Never
to
mind.
this crisis.
Oh, hold on. I want to listen to Vivek because he might say something so stupid it makes me laugh.
To deal with it. So there's a new presidential election in Mexico in 2024. People may not be aware of that. It's going to be someone other than Obrador, who has been a disaster in Mexico. I think he's even mentioned me obliquely in speeches to say that somebody who would do this shouldn't get anywhere near the White House. Well, AMLO, get out of the way. There's going to be someone else in charge. I hope to build a good relationship with that next president of Mexico. We'll use our own military to seal our own southern border.
I mean, based on what Bam was saying about the next president possibly being Jewish, I think Ramaswamy started off on the bad foot.
I'm serious about protecting this border. And then the other thing that hasn't been discussed is the northern border.
And
I'm the only candidate on the stage, as far as I'm aware, who has actually visited the northern border. There was enough fentanyl that was captured just on the northern border last year to kill 3 million Americans.
Deport
so we got to just
Canadians.
skate to where the puck is going, not just where the puck is. Don't just build the wall.
Oh, he said
build
skate
both
where the
walls.
puck is,
Can't just
talking
complete
hockey
the wall,
for the
use the
Canadians.
military to seal the Swiss cheese for the tunnels that they're actually building underneath that wall.
Thank you,
That's
Mr.
what needs to be
Ramaswamy.
practical and actually get this job done.
Thank you.
The underground tunnel network that Hamas taught them to make.
Yes, right. Get the Canadians out of here. I'm sick of it.
Hamas taught the Mexicans and the Canadians to build underground tunnels so they could get from like Winslow to Detroit.
Earlier wins in states like Kansas and Kentucky. Governor DeSantis, first
Sorry, I left the box.
That's gone. That's Windsor, by the way.
Well, I stand for
You
a
said
culture of
Winslow.
life, and I understand that it's important that everyone gets a shot. I'm reminded of a story about a young...
I want to clip Ron DeSantis saying, I think it's important that everyone gets a shot because it sounds like he's pro-vax. Corn Pop for Prez, he does have the Vegeta
Add it to the soundboard. Add it to the soundboard.
Yeah, so I forgot to say, nothing they're saying here is interesting. Well, I was going to say on the fentanyl point, because, yeah, there's been no mention that, this fentanyl epidemic is closely related to the opioid epidemic, and that is caused entirely by our healthcare system and entirely by profiteers of our healthcare system. So much so that, like, they're doing special things so that they, like, okay, we're not going to totally sue Johnson & Johnson and whatever, like, or these companies that made these opioids. We're not going to totally sue them out of existence. We're just going to, allow billions to be cut off. So, like, there's no... that's going through the legal system, and it's taking decades to happen, and people are dying, of course, right? but no one on this stage, to the main point, no one on this stage is willing to address this issue seriously or really any.
For me, it's like the way that they would talk about drug use for like recreational drugs is going to be like way more pointed than the way they're talking about like fentanyl use. But that's because they look at fentanyl use as like it's quote unquote it's Americans dying, meaning like white people can die from that too. So like we're not going to talk about them being bad, just like they wouldn't talk about the opioid crisis. Like, well, these people are on drugs, they need help, and they need to like get a job or whatever, you know. But if it's like the black drugs or like weed or whatever, it's like, well, we can't do that's a gateway drug. You never know what it's going to lead to, blah blah. But like, I mean, I don't expect them to say the right thing. It's just interesting that they won't frame this topic like
they'll only go so far.
Like they won't frame it like it's drug users because it's white people. Just like how they would do with the opioid crisis. It wasn't like people got to get off drugs. It was like, well, we gotta do something.
Which actually,
if it's Blackie, it's welfare queens, and just say no.
And coincidentally, the biggest reason why Trump kind of took that L last time is he made it like if you're doing drugs, you're like a loser or some shit. Like, and a lot of white people are like, wait a minute, what? Like,
they're talking about abortion right now. I think this is kind of good to hear.
Accessible.
Oh, okay.
Let's make sure that none of these state laws put a woman in jail or give her the death penalty for getting an abortion. Let's focus on how to save as many babies as we can and support as many moms as we can and stop the judgment. We don't need to divide America over this issue anymore.
Thank you, Ambassador. Senator Scott.
Like she was already rising in the polls. She has a left-er position on abortion. And that's the thing Republicans keep getting clocked on. And that's the thing that's motivating Democrats to go out and vote, because things that Joe Biden is doing is depressing the Democratic vote. I think I saw a stat that was like the number of Muslims that want to vote for Donald Trump, for Joe Biden. Like Muslim support for Joe Biden in this one Midwestern state went from like 57% to 17% over the course of like a month, right? Like Joe Biden's actively losing.
Having been in the Muslim community for 10 years, that doesn't matter to me at all. like. No, we're not even gonna do like the Muslim vote. We're not doing it.
I would challenge both Nikki and Ron to join.
Literally, they were telling people to vote for George Bush so hard in that first term.
I think it's
so hard,
unethical, and immoral to
life comes at you
for
fast.
Abortions up until the day of birth. We have an opportunity in this nation.
So Tim Scott's taking. I mean, like I can't take Tim Scott anymore. It's literally too boring. I can't wait till he stops qualifying for debates. Tim Scott's taking the standard right-wing position. He was saying that he doesn't want even California to have the abilities to go for abortion. I mean, like, this is where the Republicans seem the most extreme. This is something that Trump might honestly just not give a fuck about and, like, just totally work with that. But Nikki Haley, in addition to the momentum that she was already having coming into this debate, is definitely going to be able to differentiate herself from the other freako, might I add, men that are on that stage trying to talk about women's bodies. That's pretty much the only things Democrats have going for them at this point.
Yeah, but the Republicans aren't going to vote for her, dude. Like, it's just not going to happen. She's too swampy.
I mean, like, she worked for Donald Trump.
The collar goes hard, though.
Barely.
You wouldn't even say you were for 15 weeks. What I'm saying to the American people is, let's see what we can agree on. Let's bring people together and decide what we can agree on. I will sign anything where we can get 60 Senate votes, but don't make the American people think that you're going to push something on them when we don't even have the votes in the Senate. It's important that we're honest about that.
Let me go to Mr. Ramaswamy. Would you support a 15-week federal ban? And what is the path forward on this issue?
I just wanted to say, I mean, I think Nikki Haley invoke being honest, and I at least want to give credit to Tim Scott. He's honest about where he's stood, and I think you should be honest, not making a political calculus, but to say if a bill is served up, would you sign it? Here's my view on this. Speaking as a man, they say men have trouble speaking on this issue. I don't think we need to be that way. It was my home state of Ohio. I'm upset about this yesterday. That passed a constitutional amendment that now effectively codifies a right to abortion all the way up to the time of birth without parental consent. Why? It's back to that Republican culture of losing. The Republicans did not have an alternative amendment or vision on the table. I know Ohio. I was born, raised, and I lived there. It's representative of the country. If in the state of Ohio, we talked about access to contraception, adoption, and also here's the missing ingredient in this movement, sexual responsibility for men. We live in an era of reliable genetic paternity tests that are 100% reliable. So we can say men deserve more responsibility. So we can tell women we're all in this together. It's not men's rights versus women's rights. It's about human rights. And I come back to that case that Clarence.
But also, I'm going to blow the shit out of
I want less responsibility, bro. What are you talking about?
The unborn child dies
I don't
in
want
that
more
assault.
work.
You find me one person in this country who says that that criminal does not deserve liability for that death. You won't find one. That says we share the same instincts on this issue, but we require, I believe, a different generation of leadership
thank you.
to actually lead us forward and unite the country on this.
Thank you.
Honestly.
You just lost it yourself, bro. Good luck, buddy.
Christie,
You're out of here.
as you know,
That was so weird.
What are you talking about?
where do you stand on this?
What did
issue?
paternity tests have to do with that?
I mean,
For 50
it's like an edgy idea, like it's an Andrew
conservative
Yang
lawyers
ass like
have been
answer.
arguing that the
but
federal government should have absolutely nothing
yeah,
to do.
Is he trying to
the-
get the Christian
his-
vote or something? What was that about? I
His
don't get
audience
what
of like Andrew Tate heads
And
are
then
not going to like
Dobbs
that.
comes and we finally
No.
gain that victory, which was the
Like, what do you
creation
mean?
of
But I don't
a
got no goddamn
constitutional right out
responsibility.
of thin air that didn't exist. And now we have people running to say, let's short circuit the states from doing what they need to do, and let's go right to some type of federal ban at a certain number of weeks. And people on the stage have been all over the place, 20 weeks, 15 weeks, 12, 6. Look, the Frowners were really smart. And this is an issue that should be decided in each state.
Someone
And
got him
I
water. at least.
trust the people of this country, state by state, to make the call for themselves. Now, it's going to lead to a lot of divergence. In Oklahoma, you can't get an abortion unless the life of the mother is at risk. In my home state of New Jersey, it goes up to 9 months that you get an abortion. I find that morally reprehensible. But that is what the people of our
Up to
state
9
have voted
months?
for.
What's beyond that?
And we should not short circuit that process until every
What happens after
state's
that?
people have the right to weigh in on it. But here's the
I mean,
bigger
like,
issue,
what
Post
Kirsten.
9-month baby? What are we
Bigger
talking about,
issue
Christy? Who is this?
And Tim began to touch on this. We're not pro-life for the whole life. To be pro-life for the whole life means that the life of a 16-year-old
Kind of
drug
a bar,
addict on
though.
the floor of the county lockup is precious, and we should get treatment for her to restore her life. The 52-year-old who's drug addicted should make sure that any of his children who he's passed that addiction on to are treated well too.
Thank you.
Pro-life's not just in the womb, Kirsten. It's for the whole life.
All right, Governor, thank you. Candidates, thank
That's like the only thing that's been
you.
said that I
When we come
agree
back, we'll hear
with,
from all of you.
fundamentally.
Your closing-
Because like that's my main argument is that like the Republican Party overall feeling towards like babies once they're born, like they're talking
Yeah.
about, oh, there's orphanages. Like, you think Republicans are gonna fund like good orphanages? Like, you think
Like
they care?
literally just get. Never mind. I'm not gonna say that.
Well,
Also, when in Oklahoma, you can get an abortion as long as the mother's life is at risk. That's up to 9 months too.
yeah, that's the
because-
whole. I was like, get the statistics on how many people are just going like 8.5 months in.
Yeah, no. But if it, like if the pregnancy metastasized or whatever you call it, I forget the word.
Yeah, or if it's like a
You
threat
might-
to the
yeah, you know,
mom. Yeah, like
Yeah, it could be in 9 months. It could be 8 months. So I mean,
and that's going to be soul crushing for the person. Like they're not going to want to do that, but it's like
Yeah.
to save their life. That's an option that they should want to have, and I mean not want to have, like deserve.
yeah, and so yeah, I don't know.
This is so stupid. These guys are so fucking stupid.
Ramaswamy's
I would love to see it.
hilarious though. Like I would listen
Yeah,
to
that was
him on a
weird, though.
podcast. Like
You know what? He's another dude that's he's just rambling, bro. Like you're not even
just-
saying stuff.
I don't understand what paternity tests had to do with that. Like I don't even know.
Why
like,
would
what
you
it
ever
is.
say that a male has any responsibility in this? That's
No,
how
no,
you
like,
lose
the Republican
vote.
Party. No, but
He's
see,
saying, like,
literally,
they're,
this is
like,
the part.
shooting the club up everywhere.
Yeah, no,
This is the party of people who
vote is not.
Sorry, I
Right.
just gotta say this is the party of people who like complain about alimony. They complain about like no-fault divorce, and now you're talking about paternity tests.
The way to success in the Republican Party is lessening male responsibility, not increasing male responsibility, especially on this shit. All they want to do is blame the women and also take away the rights of women to make a decision. So why would you say there's something on us? Like, I get what he's trying to do, but it's like you're appealing to like 3% evangelical. Like, what are we playing numbers with here?
And just like, what did him bringing up paternity tests have to do with abortion? I don't know.
Like, I think he's just saying, he's like, I think this is what it does.
Can y'all explain to me?
I literally can't keep track. I can't keep track of all the dumb shit that Vivek Ramaswamy's been saying.
Like, he said, don't go shooting the club up. As a man, you have the responsibility to not do that. Okay, cool.
Uh-huh.
And then paternity tests. I'm like, okay, well, like, what? Because they're talking about abort. Like, I'm not mad at that. Like, yeah, like,
do you think his
logic
is
like, don't go skeeting up at everything. Like, yeah, like you want to be like more responsible than that. You know what I mean? But what does like the paternity test and the abortion have to do with each other? In that,
I think he's like, if you get paternity tests, you have lots of sex with strangers. Is that what his correlation is? I don't know. I'm trying to help him. Yeah. I'm trying to link this. I want to know what the link is. Paternity tests are only for sexually active people.
Everybody knows that there's paternity tests. Like, we know that for a long time.
Not like those are like funsies. That's not like, oh.
I've been there when my cousin got that letter, and he was very disappointed to find out that's yo baby.
Did Vivek watch Maury? Did he watch the show? Did he see how the card is pulled out and we read the paper?
Like, what do we do? That scroll?
Yeah, the big old fucking
scroll.
And the guy be like, Caesar, you are not the father.
The cameraman is like sprinting.
It's written with a feather pen.
I told you that's not my baby.
No, they be over here doing the WAP and all kinds of shit.
Vivek saw that and he was like, okay, that's going to be an issue. I got to write this down.
To please use your closing statement to focus on any topic didn't have time to address and why you and not former President Trump would be the party's best choice to tackle these important issues.
This is going to be good.
You each have a minute.
Senator
Scott, we'll start with you. 1 minute.
There's a crisis that is growing in our nation, and that crisis is cultural and spiritual. We need a renewal, a great awakening. We should reject the left's valueless, faithless, fatherless society. We should turn back to faith, patriotism, and individual responsibility. We should stop choosing victimhood and start choosing victory. We should stop kneeling in protest and start kneeling in prayer. There are basic truths that built this country. If you're able-bodied in America, you work. If you take out a loan, you pay it back. If you commit a violent crime, you go to jail. And if God made you a man, you play sports against men. I do not just want to...
Audience, please.
I do not just want to win the battle against Joe Biden. I want us together to win the war. The war for our Christian conservative values that changed my life.
Senator Scott, thank you. Governor Christie, you have
got you boarded
for your vote.
Serge says, shout out, we made a podcast.
Thank you for hosting tonight. Listen, it's a gift to be an American. And I'm running for president of the United States because I'm tired. I'm tired of seeing the division. I'm tired of seeing the anger. And I can see in the eyes of Americans their exhaustion. Their exhaustion from the petty personal politics that have taken over this country over the last number of years. I'm running for president to be a president of consequence, to do the big things, to make sure that America's role in the world stays number one, that we stand up for our friends and allies around the world, and we stand up for what we believe in right here at home. And it's not to eliminate our differences. Our differences has always been our strength as a country, not our weakness.
Ouch.
But you can't truly say you love America unless you're ready to open up your heart to every American. I'm going to open up my heart to every American as president, and I will make sure that I return honesty, integrity to the Oval Office. We deserve and should accept nothing less.
Governor, thank you very much. Let's
Tell
go
him,
to
Christy.
Mr. Ramaswamy now.
New Jersey.
Your 1 minute.
We've talked a lot about foreign wars tonight, but we're in the middle of a war right here at home. It's a war not between black and white or Democrat and Republican. It's between those of us who believe in our founding ideals and love this country and a fringe minority who hates the United States of America. And I think it's going to take a commander-in-chief to lead us to victory in that war, who first of all knows that we're in a war. Second of all, can't be captured by the special interests along the way. But third is from the next generation, somebody with fresh legs to lead us to victory. I'll shut down the deep state. I'll declare economic independence from China. I'll keep us out of World War III and then revive national pride in this country. I also want to close with one message to the Democrat Party. End this farce that Joe Biden is going to be your nominee. We know he's not even the president of the United States. He's a puppet for the managerial class. So have the guts to step up and be honest about who you're actually going to put up so we can have an honest debate. Biden should step aside, end his candidacy now so we can see whether it's Newsom or Michelle Obama or whoever else.
All right,
just
Mr.
tell us the
Ramaswamy,
truth so we can have an
your
honest
time is
debate.
QAnon Michelle Obama. He's a QAnon, bro. He's deep on YouTube.
Ambassador Haley, you have 1 minute for your closing.
My message to
Thank
Democrats.
you. The world is on fire. We have a war in Europe. We've got a war in the Middle East. We've got China on the march. It is very important that we know how to defend our freedoms and how to defeat terrorism and socialism. We have to know the difference between good and evil. We have to know the difference between right and wrong. We need to know that a strong America doesn't start wars, a strong America prevents wars. And the way we can focus on that is to make sure we go back to the soul of America and be strong and proud again. And we can't do that. We can't win the fights of the 21st century with politicians from the 20th century. We have to move forward, and we can do this. I know we can do this. So join our movement. Go to NikkiHaley.com, and we will once again show what America that's strong and proud looks like. God bless.
Ambassador, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Governor DeSantis, you're closing. You have 1 minute.
We must reverse our country's decline, and that is going to require leadership.
You can't reverse
I
his
will take
decline.
the hits, I will take the arrows, I will take the barbs, because it's not about me, it's about you. It's not about the past, it's about your future. We are going to fight for you. I am going to win for you and your family, and I'm going to lead this country's revival. As a veteran of the Iraq War and in the Navy, I will always put service above self as president. As the father of 3 young kids, I'm going to ensure that this country is left to the next generation in better shape than we found it. And as the governor of Florida, I delivered on all my promises, and you can trust me to deliver for you as the president of the United States. I am asking for your vote. I'll be a nominee that will be able to win the election. I will be a leader you can be proud of, and as your president, I will not let you down. God bless you.
Governor DeSantis, thank you.
He did it again. He did that same face last time.
That is going to conclude our debate.
I will not let you
The
down.
next line says, if the audience can hold their applause. That didn't work out. But anyway, for just a few more seconds, I'll ask you to just hold the applause. On behalf of my fellow moderators, I want to thank the candidates for their time and for this spirited debate. Really good, deep conversation, and we appreciate you all being here. Thank you
Really
as well
good.
to our
I literally
moderators.
don't even remember that Tim Scott did closing 60-second thing. I know he was first, but it just like flew over my head. I'm just like, who is? Oh my god.
He said Great Awakening, and that is a nod to the QAnoners.
True.
But they don't believe him.
But they don't ride with him, though. They ride with Vivek.
Wow, everyone shook hands with each other. That's what they're playing right now. I guess they're trying to model.
Which is kind of, that was a weak one. That was a weak one.
I'm glad Mike Pence wasn't there because that would have been more boring.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it would have been rough.
Doug
We had 2
Burgum.
people to mute.
There's no Doug Burgum either.
All
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
they-
I've really seen in the progress from the last debate is we kind of saw the only person that's really been making probably any foot ground is Nikki. Like in terms of change, like positive, because that was a discussion in the first debate is like, she established herself by just throwing hands, and whether it worked or not, it had people talking about it. And now the more you let Vivek talk, the worse it gets. So people are like, well, fuck it. I'd rather go for her than.
I wonder like how he's going to do with the Republicans though, because who knows what they like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And also maybe he said that stuff, but a lot of them like to just clip out of context anyways. So they maybe will just leave some of the parts out where he talked about male responsibility. And his rambles.
He sounded insane to me, but it might have done him good. Who knows?
I don't know. I mean, it's possible that...
Yeah, where's North Dakota guy? I want to hear about North Dakota.
It's possible that the anti-Semitism might boost Ramaswamy up a couple points in the Republican Party, but...
Was there any anti-Semitism at North Dakota State University? Would he tell us about that?
Oh. The most recent CBS YouGov poll has Asa Hutchinson at less than 1%, Doug Burgum at 1%, Chris Christie at 2%. Yo, that cannon about to go off, man.
He really thinks somebody. I'll let you know when I get there, buddy. You're not making it to fourth place. What are you talking about? People are gonna vote for Pence before you dumb bozo.
Well, I'm gonna ask Dan the same question I asked last time, which he struggled so hard and annoyingly to answer last time. Of the people on the stage, who would you vote for?
Dan's gonna be like, in what context?
This is gonna take 30 minutes again.
Now, assuming the responsibility that I was born in another era at a different time.
Like, what do you mean?
Phenomenon.
So, what was Tim Scott talking about farms in Iowa? No, okay, I'll give you a straightforward answer, and I won't do the troll thing I did last time. That was a hilarious.
Although I don't think you were trolling last time, but yes, go ahead.
That was a hilarious. Now he had time to think about it. No, honestly, I mean, I promise I'll get to this answer quick.
Just saying, you're gonna vote for Vivek, dude.
No. I think this exercise is useful for saying who won the debate or who's seen the most presidential based off of the performance. And that aligns with who I would vote for in this gunshot situation, which would be Nikki Haley.
Really?
Holy shit. Okay.
Interesting. Okay, I would go Chris Christie.
Bam, I was right.
I thought...
Bam, I told you I was going to get to it quickly. You doubted
Scott.
me.
I'm shocked you didn't say Tim Scott.
No, I'm racist.
Me? Wait, okay, Caesar, what about you?
I'm just keeping with my Nikki Haley vote, dog. I'm
Nikki Haley.
I was thinking about Chris Christie, but I don't like that he thinks that he's already in there. I'm going Nikki Haley just because she seems upset. I'm kind of down for that.
Good night, woke dragon. Good to see you.
I feel like she's such a neocon. It's a little it's just too
okay, but
Dick Cheney.
Okay, if she's a neocon, what the hell? What would you consider Vivek?
No, but
I wouldn't vote for him either.
How is that better?
Let's go to this.
I said Chris Christie.
Let's go to this. So let's go to this. What dove would Chris Christie appoint to be Secretary of Defense and Secretary of State? Right? Like stand on all 10 toes right now, Bam. Because literally tell me what difference foreign policy wise you would see from let's be narrow, Christie and Haley.
Well, no, I don't I can't assume that, but just based on the debates and how they've spoken in the debates, Nikki Haley seems like more of a hawk than Chris Christie does. And I feel like that's easy.
But, no. I would agree with that, but it's my point in that is that it's a lot of the people who you are surrounded by. And I think Chris Christie would appoint the same neocons as Nikki Haley, and
probably, maybe.
Why would Christie?
I feel like Chris Christie was governor of New Jersey. He's not like Jersey. I don't care what Republican you are. There's only so much you can do because Jersey is a blue state. You're not going to be doing abortion bans and shit like that. You have to appease the center.
Christie will be more of a both-sider a little bit than some of the other people would be.
Exactly. He's had to be in his political career. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He kind of gives that aura too, that he would kind of lament a little bit, at some of these like tough Democratic opposition in Congress or something.
C's, you were gonna say something.
Haley would be my second. I'd vote for her second.
C's, I thought you were gonna say something earlier.
I totally forgot. I'm sorry.
That's totally fine.
Caesar's a dead body behind him.
I smoked too much. I'm sorry.
Pile of bodies behind him.
I got the former two people in the debate right there. They're not here.
Crash through the window.
Yeah.
It'd be like, they were trying to hang him at the DC.
Speaking
what?
Speaking of, I love like freezing at that point right there was like perfect. But speaking of, I never actually got to the rest of this poll, and the reason was I couldn't stop laughing after saying Chris Christie has 2%, because reading that Scott is at 4% makes that even funnier. Like how is Tim Scott double Chris Christie?
Like all the black Republicans are saying him. That's why.
Yeah, he's just talking, and they're really excited about him talking.
Okay. Every one of these is okay. It gets less funny after this, but this was also very funny. Ramaswamy, 5%. Like that's his peak. Okay. That's his.
I can
peak.
see. I can see him being a 5%er.
Guardrails. Nikki Haley, 9%. She's been on the upswing, but like
I'm telling you,
we're almost at double digits. We're almost.
And she didn't overtly say anything totally anti-woman. So she's gonna get the female Republican vote from that. Like when they talked about, she kind of was like a little bit. She put some toes down on her stance on there.
No,
other people were talking
she's
about
incredibly smart.
I don't know what the fuck we're talking about there, but
also to your point, Bam, D. Cashmere says Christie wouldn't pardon Trump. I think Haley would pardon Trump. That's a fair case.
I feel like Christie would pardon Trump.
No,
absolutely not.
They're beefing hard.
Chris Christie is basically in this as a personal death match to Donald Trump.
Listen,
like,
Trump.
He's going on a kamikaze mission.
Trump literally is beefing with DeSantis, but DeSantis is still dropping Trump lines in the goddamn shit. They're using his quotes. Promises made, promises kept.
DeSantis would pardon him and give him a handy.
He would give him a handy. He would give him a swift handy in the bins, in the shuttle bus bins.
Holding him tighter than Ron DeSantis was choking out. Guy in Cuba, allegedly. Ron DeSantis, speaking of, 18%. So he's still got a little bit of work to climb up there. And Donald Trump, remember him? 61%. Like,
there you go.
Bam had the ultimate take. Like, why are we doing this? Why are we here? Once again, Donald Trump won the debate.
Literally. No question.
These people are so bad. He's like, I'm not going to dignify them with a response. Like, they're not worth it. And like, the Republican Party agrees.
He is the king of Israel and the king of the Republican Party.
Alhamdulillah.
I love that you'll never let us forget that, Bam. Thank you. It brings me so much laughter.
He said it. He said king of Israel.
He said it. He said it.
I thought it was a joke. I feel like one of y'all told me. I was like, there's no way.
You have to Google it every couple of months to make sure we were right. I don't know. I'm not feeling great. Oh, here's another addition to this poll here, and we can talk about this also in the context of the other poll that came out this week. Democrats did a good, George Soros did a good job burying that story because that we were previously talking about Biden's bad poll results and how he would lose to Donald Trump in like most key states or like barely grab onto one. And so we can talk about that in that context. But the YouGov poll I'm reading from asked, how likely are indictments make you to make you like him, make you hate him, or it doesn't matter? That's literally the options. Let's guess.
Wait, can you read that one more time?
Do indictments against Trump make you like him more, hate him more, or does it not matter?
Okay.
I don't guess the numbers. Okay, fine. C's, any guesses?
Well, no, I'm here. Weapon.
Okay, cool. 12% of Republicans would think worse of him.
Okay.
34% would think better of him.
Okay.
And the other 54% don't care. Like it's a wrap. It's a wrap, dude. It is
Wait,
so
what's
bad.
the wrap?
Like the Republican primary, first of all. But
yeah, that's a wrap.
Like I really just don't even want to.
They're all just in a race for third place right now.
Literally. And Ron DeSantis may not make it out. Like he might get mollywopped in the first couple of primary states. Like I think he's headed real fast for a brick wall.
Do you think a later stage in the Republican primaries where it's less people, is that beneficial or harmful to DeSantis?
Like what?
If it's less people up there.
Again, sorry. Like it's a question. The primaries are going to start in January and it's November, right? So like, how late are we talking about? Like,
like when it starts to wind down, is that better for him?
Not really, because delegates get awarded, and by that point, it's just going to be a scoreboard game, and Donald Trump is gonna sweep.
Well, DeSantis isn't going to be close in any state. What
about Florida?
Although I still don't think Trump is going to run. I still don't think Trump is actually going to run. Still,
right now, what's your percentage? What's your percentage? Like 100%? You don't think it's happening?
He's not going to finish the race.
Is he going to run and he's not going to finish, or just
he might be like on some stuff like in the beginning, like doing his thing, but like when it comes down to election day, he's not going to be there.
He's going to do one last rally in Bakersfield and it's over. Huh?
And then he's going to head to that Supermax prison out there.
Yeah, Supermax rally, and then he's going to be like, "Wait, what do you mean I have to go? I have to stay here?"
He's going to start recording. He's going to start recording mixtapes like Gucci Mane.
Why are they all wearing orange in the audience?
He's gonna be like, wait, so I don't get to go home after this? No, this is home, sir. Okay.
All right, where's the limo?
Me and Michael Cohen do not think he's gonna run.
You and Michael Cohen.
Michael Cohen is Bam's rabbi. So it's really sad because I actually thought like some of the Trump cases, like 93 indictments, I think was the last count. Like that's gonna go through. Like that's just statistics at that point. Like, and I think a lot of them are not gonna change public opinion, but I think a lot of them, if they marinate, it's gonna be a thing. I think here's the question. 2 questions for you, Bam. Who's more likely to not finish, Donald Trump or Joe Biden? And we already know the reason for Joe Biden. This is one of the only smart things Vivek Ramaswamy said in that debate. Why is it that Trump would not finish or like not run? Especially when like my counterpoint to that is running for president is the most lucrative thing he's ever done in his life.
This is such a Dan question.
He loves it. He just loves it.
I don't know where the question was. Like,
I literally asked you 2 questions.
Okay, can you repeat the question, please?
Is Donald Trump less likely to finish, like you say, or than Joe Biden?
I think that Joe Biden is going to run for president. I do not think that Donald Trump is.
I don't get what you mean when you say that because like he's running for president right now.
Okay, I'm sorry. He's not going to be on the ballot.
Is Donald? Okay. He's not gonna be on the
ballot. Today, Bam. The Supreme Court of Minnesota or something was like, yeah, no matter what, even if Trump gets indicted, even though we have like a clause against people trying to overturn elections, he can still be on the ballot again. Like, yeah.
I don't think he's going to be on there.
Okay, but
okay. So the other part of my question,
I could be wrong. I'm not trying to say like I'm going to be right. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Like, the other part of my question, I want to get to Caesar's question too, but like the other part of my question was, what Donald Trump is running for president right now.
Yes.
What is going to be the cause of him not making it to the ballot?
It's just going to be too much shit going on. He's got too much going on, and I don't think that I don't think he's. I think he knows he'll lose again. I do think he'll lose again. And I don't think he wants to do that. Like,
88% of Republicans either don't care about any of the court stuff he's going through or think it makes him awesome. Or like they would want to buy the mugshots, all right? Like the polls the polls are snapshot in time, but like I think if Joe Biden's dead and the Democratic Party goes like, oh well, obviously we're gonna put up our next strongest person, Kamala Harris.
No, I don't think like the Democratic Party is running. I don't think the Democratic Party is running anybody great right now, but I think he's gonna have too much shit going on, and it's just like it's gonna be like damn near impossible for him to like actually do it by that time. But then I also just don't think that he wants to do that and lose again. Are you going to lose the presidency again and then say they stole it again? Are you going to do that same thing that got you in so much shit this time?
Yes.
Like, are you really going to do that? Like, I don't think he has the energy for that. Like,
if you took an L last, yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't.
All these people are selling you up the river. Giuliani's ratting on them. What's her name? Sidney Powell took a deal like Gunna. Like, these people are not riding with him, dude.
They're not loyal like that no more.
Yeah, and they never were gonna be. I just don't like by that time. Like, there's gonna be so much shit where it's like impossible for him to run. And let's say like he's like, you know, it's still like August and he's like, I'm gonna run. By like October, by end of September, he's gonna be like, you know what, like they're gonna steal it again, so I'm not gonna run. I think saying they're gonna steal it is better than losing and saying they stole it again.
I honestly feel that Donald Trump is literally just benefiting from not being the center of all this or being like the public eye. I think it actually benefits him because it's almost like when you sit in like it's almost like when you sit in a neutral position, let other people battle it out. When you don't bring up any points, you don't have any counters, and no one can counter you, you kind of just benefit from all the chaos. And then people have like that fond memory of you. Like, oh, people are still doing that Trump stuff. Like, oh, he's funnier than these guys. Oh, he's this and this. And they're thinking about that. But then when it gets to the nitty gritty and then all the eyes on him, then things will start coming up. And then I'm sure it'll lead to more eyes and come in terms of legalities. That stuff just starts to fester. And I think it could lead to him definitely getting in trouble. I think that the only stuff that's really holding up is some of those election trials on him still are kind of a little murky, and I think that can definitely affect you when it comes to running for president. Like that stuff can when it gets nitty gritty, you know, when it's just them two running, it could be a problem for him for sure. I mean, it didn't work last time. He lost last time. Don't you have to change up your strategy when you took the L? So like, what is he going to do this time? That's so much different.
Fair, all right. I think there's a strong argument.
Do you want him to run?
No.
Yes, oh my god, dude! You're so you kind of got
in it for the media aspect. Dan's in it for the media.
Trump.
What do you?
He's like this media sucks.
He's in it for media. That's why
Dan is like.
He's like, well, what are we going to talk about?
Giving me the numbers.
Literally. He's like, nah, dude. I need something to talk about.
No, it's fine. Vivek Ramaswamy is gonna drop out and do a podcast, and I will have so much content to make off of that. Like, we'll be good.
There we go.
Like,
here it is. Trump is the Trump. Everybody just wants Trump to run because he's a content king, not because it's like even that we get to like put him up for what he said. It's just like, yeah, but like even if you don't worry, he's gonna lose anyways, right?
I'm
and then we make content out
I'm
of
so
it.
exhausted from having worked in media during the Trump administration, having recently just gone through this past like month with stuff going on in Israel, Palestine, and still being a fan of the Los Angeles Clippers. I have suffered so much. I am not wanting Donald Trump to run again.
Fucking episode.
I am not wanting Donald Trump to run again.
They don't know what me, you, and Clipper Dale have been through. Okay.
on a somewhat serious note, like
they towed his Beamer.
on a serious note, I think that like in our lifetime, there wasn't a more dangerous time in America than when Trump was president. Like, you did not know what his sycophants were going to do. Like, you did not know. There were times, like, I remember when it was when the Muslim ban stuff was going on and people were protesting at the airport.
Yeah,
like that was tense because them people at them cops and shit, they be having like AKs and like all kinds of machine guns
fucking
at
horses
the
and shit and
airport.
all that. Yeah, no, it's
You know what I mean? Like you didn't know what was going to happen.
They're about to like reverse no Russian that airport. Like it was about to be. It was really scary, and like with every single protest.
Time.
With every single protest, it was like that. Again, Power Report started because Trump got a little bit saucy on New Year's Eve and then decided to bomb Iran.
Yeah, bomb Iraq, but bomb an Iranian in Iraq. Yeah. No, it was unless you were trying to do the song by John McCain. Bomb Iran. But like it was a scary time, like that time specifically. But like when you saw these like right wing street militia people being fans of the president, that's unprecedented. And he cultivated those relationships with those people. And towards the end of his presidency, he was getting more of the QAnoner type people. And you know, it doesn't get a whole lot of press, but there was so much like political violence from his supporters. So much. There was some dude in like Oregon who like cut off some woman's like arm with a sword or something like that. Like rocking a MAGA hat, some crazy shit like that.
I mean, like it's
so. I'm happy that the American judicial system is like for one time ever like holding a rich person accountable. It seems personal for some of these people. Good, because there's people doing time for much less, and he hasn't had any punishments yet. We'll see what happens. But maybe there's also a part of me that's saying he won't run because I just hope me and Michael Cohen are right. Michael Cohen did call that Trump would not leave office peacefully. He did say that before he got locked up. And he was right. And I was hoping then that he was saying that so Trump wouldn't give you the "I told you so." I'm like, is he just saying that so Trump can't do it? It didn't work. But hopefully this time he's saying Trump won't run, and he's correct. I'm standing by it.
Listen, like, to make your point stronger, to entertain that, right? Like, America got to decide Trump Biden already, and it was a really weird time. A lot of people were on their mask stuff, like that. Like it was really strange. The economy was weird and interesting. Biden ultimately won it, yeah, because Trump had stuff, right? And that's why I'm just like, Biden, do you need to like freeze him or something? Like, what do we really gotta do here for that? Because I mean, there are I know you said uppers, but I was also thinking poppers. With fentanyl.
Dan probably got some right there. Show us that bottle of Rush.
Jesus Christ. I'm not in England anymore. So there's with Donald Trump, like, people are gonna see that and get to make that decision again, and I don't think it's gonna work out. But you have Democrats. You have some people in the Democratic Party. You have Marianne Williamson. I'm like one of the first people to mention her name on a podcast in like 3 weeks. Like, there's Cornel West, who has been switching parties, and he hired Peter Dow, then he fired Peter Dow. Like, I don't know what's going on there. I'm probably gonna write him in anyways. Like, there isn't really someone who can get more votes than Biden. And the Democrats are not going to do anything in the next year to like motivate voters. I just like know that at this point. Sorry to be depressing, but and last time, let's take. I know it's kind of meandering here because at first I was like kind of defending your point, but like here's another thing to think about. Like, people were rejecting Donald Trump last time. And like, if he's like not in the race, and like Donald Trump was a big motivator to get people out to vote, and you don't have Donald Trump in that race, is what I'm trying to say, Republicans might have an advantage.
Oh, I don't think so. With who? Ron DeSantis?
Nikki Haley?
No. Nikki Haley's not going to be that much different than like Joe Biden. You know what I mean? Like, but no, I think nobody other than like, if Trump doesn't end up running, he's blowing up the Republican Party. He's blowing it up. He's talking shit about everybody, dude. Like, he's going to get his people to not vote for anybody. Like, they got a prayer 2028.
Well, neither Trump or Biden are going to make it 2028. That's just how I feel.
No, I'm saying the Republican Party, like, he's going to make sure, like, if Trump's not running, he's going to make sure a Republican does not win. He's going to make sure of that. And honestly, the Republican, like, media sphere and, like, the big money interests, if they don't have Trump, they want a Democrat. Because that's where they make their money, is when a Democrat's in office. Like, that's how they make their money. They do not want to have a Republican in office if it's not Trump. This time around, 2028, who knows what's gonna be going on? But Beto's win in 2028. They should just give up right now.
I think.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait, damn. Did DeSantis and and Newsom have their debate yet, or did they cancel it?
I know. I was just looking at that. The debate's going to be on Thursday, November 30th. So of course we're doing that. Shit. Of course we're doing that. Like, that's pretty much like, that's going to be the Ron DeSantis has been doing like the long version of the Howard Dean scream for his campaign. It's just been like extended for so long. It's just been so cringe. It's been hard to deal with. But the coup de grace, like the end, like the best part of that is gonna be this debate. Like we're gonna look back and go like, yo, you remember when he actually said yes to a debate with Gavin Newsom? I'm not even rooting for Gavin Newsom that hard. I'm just saying, like, and I have in the past said that he would be one of the stronger presidential candidates, but people don't like him, is the thing. So like, I don't think it's gonna work that well. But like, Gavin, I'm just saying. I mean, Gavin Newsom did put it best. By accepting that debate, someone who's not even running for president, when you should be running for president. Oh, by the way, you're actively the governor of Florida. You got better shit to do with that hour. Yeah. Like, you already lost. the winning answer was to say no.
Caesar loves Gavin Newsom, but he is stoned out of his mind right now.
No, y'all didn't let me talk. I see how it is.
I don't know how long Dan's trying to keep us on this.
Dan really went on a 20-minute tirade about Gavin Newsom.
That was not 20 minutes.
That was you see, as I was about to defend you.
That was like not even a minute. You're
okay.
high.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
You're high.
Attack the immigrant. Okay, here we go.
Sober up, earring.
Everybody bum rush me on the show. I'm sorry.
Okay, little B earring, please.
I will say, with Left the Box in the chat, we can't forget that we're closing the Canadian border. If one was that Ramaswamy who said that, right?
Yeah, he did say he talked about the northern border. Yeah,
the northern border is a problem right now.
He said that they took it too far. He said they were building tunnels through the borders. I'm like,
I'm about to use one of the tunnels to get over
from Montana. You don't have to actually build a tunnel.
Yeah, it's way better than the San Isidro, that's for sure. Faster, but dear, like, yo, we can wrap up soon, but I'm just like,
soon.
Vivek Ramaswamy's an idiot. Like,
no, he's the worst ever.
Yeah, he looked really underqualified in this one.
I still want to understand this genetic. I
gotta rewatch that one back. I gotta see that part back.
Yeah, no, seriously, because I just don't. The paternity test, like, I just don't understand. Maybe
okay, where did you lose? Did you lose him at that point, or not seeing camo and cargo pants?
No, I lost him I lost him at, like, again, the Holy Trinity, man. I was out from the beginning. I was like, oh, Ramaswamy's, I don't know who's on more of a kamikaze mission, Chris Christie or Vivek Ramaswamy at this point.
I want to see him and Nikki Haley debate. That'd be a fun one.
They'll end up fighting.
I want to see that. Can that be the prelim to the Gavin Newsom war? Like, can we get like a couple debates going live?
No, they'll definitely end up fighting.
What was the thing? I'm trying to find the clip on Twitter.
He said something about her daughter too. I was like, bro, what are you doing?
No, they have real beef. And honestly, like as far as Nikki Haley goes, like I feel like she's good on that debate stage.
Mm-hmm.
Like she has a lot of she has a lot of political experience. Like she's a woman in politics. She's
savvy politician. Yeah,
she's held high office. Like you have to be. Like you're
she's
not
negotiated, right? Too. She's part of negotiations, right?
She's not Sarah Palin. You know what I mean? No. Like she's like a competent woman in politics. So I expect her to do well. And yeah, she's been a governor, but she was also at the UN, which is like great experience for anybody. Like she knows what she's doing. Like she sounds the best up there, but she's just a neocon. But she like sounds the best as as a character on there.
Right. I think I do admire like I think it's really savvy of her to focus on abortion as a differentiator because like politically that's like what's losing Republicans right now. And that could be one of those things where it's like, okay, well, in Bam's scenario where Donald Trump is not making it to the ballot, and in my scenario where Nikki Haley is, that could be the difference in percentage because, again, you get back to that point, I think I mentioned during the debate, where if Democrats aren't motivated, Democratic voters or people who would vote for Democrats aren't motivated to go out, the party itself is not going to do anything between now and then to fix that.
Here's a question, Dan. Presidential election. Are you voting for Joe Biden or Nikki Haley?
Cornel West.
See, I'm out of here. Leave studio.
This has been.
Are you voting for Brandon or Nikki, dog?
Are you voting for Robinette?
Over Nikki Haley, yes.
You voting for Dark Brandon?
Over. I'll take Neocon 1 over Neocon 2. Yes.
It's kind of funny how much it pains you. It's like you're the blood is your ink as you're writing Biden.
Okay, how about if she was if she was on the Democratic ticket, would you vote for her?
Wild with these questions. This is ridiculous. Like I think I need some accountability here, right? Like Bambi dishing, but like what are these questions? Okay, what were you saying? What were you asking?
We're trying to get to know you, Dan. People want to know they want to know your politics too.
Even if it's imaginary.
That's what people are interested in that.
I've been making political content for more than 10 years. I think people know my politics.
So you know what?
But nobody knows who you're going to vote for between Nikki Haley and Joe Biden. They don't know that.
Bam's trying to either get me to.
Nikki Haley would pop off as a Democrat. She'd pop off.
I mean, she is basically Hillary Clinton. She's Indian Hillary Clinton.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why she'd pop off.
Like she probably believes in gay marriage. I don't know.
She would look the other way. I'm sure she dabbled in college. I'm sure she did not inhale.
Ooh, not dabbled, girl.
Oh no. Yeah, but
she was dabbling like Caesar's earring dangling.
Oh no. Yeah, I couldn't.
You had to change it to dangling.
That made it better. Dan, you're looking for something, and we should just end the stream. Don't look.
No. There's one last thing. There's one last poll.
Oh my God! Not polls. We don't believe.
We don't want to poll. We want to know who you'd vote for.
Who you voting for?
That's what the people want to know, Dan. Not these polls.
Or Netanyahu.
Oh, that's so easy. I'm riding with BB, dog.
No.
Oscar the Grouch would start. Like he would give Taiwan nukes. First of all, okay? Like he's just absolutely
okay. Ahmadinejad or Shinzo Abe.
Ooh, that's a good
one. One of them is dead.
Yeah, but Kind of died in a gangster way.
One of them got shot in public.
By homemade gun.
Call me Shinzo Abe the way I blow her back out.
Ooh, damn, that was a good one. That was a bar, actually. That's like good like SoundCloud era bar right there. Like that guy never made it, but like that was a bar.
Like I'm not making out the hood, but like it was a good one. It was good on TikTok. It was good on TikTok.
I will remember that one. I'd be like, yeah, but he did say that Shinzo Abe bar though.
Okay, last thing about the poll. Nikki Haley's gone up.
Okay.
Ron DeSantis has actually recovered from the summer. So, can't count out the old Gipper yet, but he's just like, again, if Trump is in the race, no contest. DeSantis, may work with Putin to get Trump poisoned. Like that's how badly he needs it.
Well, we saw Vivek.
I'm joking, by the way, but like, yeah.
We saw Vivek trying to get the Putin swing his way, but it's like, dude, like you're too dark.
Yeah. Chris Christie has no gas. Burgum has no gas. Hutchinson has no gas. Like that's Ramaswamy kind of has momentum, but I think that's gonna die off very quickly soon because he's like, again, his peak was like 5%.
Yeah.
And this is again like electability, I guess.
Along with his 5 head.
6. You're being really nice.
Okay. Well, it's not a forehead.
It's a Vegeta forehead.
Vegeta forehead's one of the funniest things out in the chat. Okay, there's a question in chat, and then we'll end on that, okay? D. Cashmere says, how many votes would a candidate get if they promised to cut the defense budget by 50% and reinvest the American people? Basically the opposite of tonight's debate. I mean...
Like if they said it or did it?
Yeah, they think you can say it, but like it just depends who you are.
What party? Who would say that?
Yeah.
Like who's telling me that?
I think the biggest...
If you've been telling me that, I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about.
I think the biggest lie on that debate stage, which I think is also a great question, but we're not going to belabor the point, was when whoever said like, oh, we're going to audit the Pentagon or the Defense Department and we're going to like make sure they're spending less money. Because like whoever said it, they all double backed on that like literally 4 minutes later. They're like, we're going to have war over here. We're going to have war over here.
Military.
We're going to get Bam's background, start throwing darts at it randomly.
More ships. And I'm going to get so many ships that they're going to realize we have more ships than their ships.
We're going to have so many fucking ships. Every ship is going to be one of ours.
When you guys go to the Marine dock, you're going to see way more ships now. Like, okay.
No orcas are taking our ships out.
No.
Hey, I refuse to condemn the orcas. Right? I will not condemn the orcas on air. All right.
Dan is
they're fighting a righteous
memorizing his tweets.
They literally won't. They literally. I would have never guessed I would have had discussions about ships today and ship counts.
By the way, see,
the paper ship from it.
I thought you were doing a thing, but like sassy Ron DeSantis. Like that has some like homophobic undertones. So I kind of don't want to do that. That being said, he was getting grilled by Nikki.
He was a little coded.
He wears heel-toed boots, and when he was getting absolutely like rotisserie by Nikki Haley, he was about to do the Macarena.
He did.
Literally,
he put his hands on his hips like
both hands.
If he started clapping, like, listen here.
Yeah, he'd be like, Nikki, I will smack you, bitch.
No, like it's not like Ron DeSantis just finished back shots and he was just like putting his arms on his hips, right? Like it was...
now you took it too far.
I was not imagining back shots, but you went there.
We're doing coded and you just went straight
and
for
you said here, we're talking about coded, let's talk about back shots.
Like, god damn.
Bam, is Ron DeSantis a top or bottom?
I'm not doing that. But I'll do this though.
Oh no, DeSantis.
Oh no, Ronnie.
DeSantis.
Toot. Hey, beat.
Oh,
DeSantis, but they call me Dee.
I'd love to see Ron DeSantis on a City Girls track.
Ooh.
Okay.
One of the hardest female songs of all time.
If you're on 10 more minutes. The government says I have to give you a 10-minute break, so we're just going to end it here. Thank you very much.
Thank God Joe Biden's America.
Tomorrow, do not miss the show because Bam and I are going to be on with Ben Dixon and Emma Vigeland. I cannot say my friend's name.
Vigeland. I'm missing a dear friend. She's having like a fundraiser for like this thing. And I was like, I'd already told her I was going to be there. I put yes on the Evite. And then I had to tell her, I was like, oh, damn, I forgot, yo. I feel bad. But I'm doing this with the homie Ben Dixon and the other homie Emma Vigeland, though. I'm sorry.
This is like straight fuck Dan. Like, no, I would definitely reschedule. I would definitely schedule some shit over Power Report. But like, oh, if Ben Dixon's there, then yes.
Nah, I was like, nah, I can't miss it because like, I was like, nah, I got to be on.
Yeah, I would, yes, appreciate that. Thank you. It'd be great to do the show with
another black person. Just say it.
Bam, you're the star. Bam, you're the star of the show. All right. So like, literally, everyone in chat loves you. Thank you, chat, for watching. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Utter Bullspit says, so DeSantis got his cheeks clapped. Whose earring is better, Bam's or C's? I'm gonna do a poll on that, and so
no,
show them, Bam.
Okay,
don't do the poll because I'm leaving.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, I know. I was
because I'm leaving.
That's what Ron DeSantis said. This has been Power Report. Thank you very much for watching. Cheers.
Give me that poll. I'm leaving. What?